This is Brock Bowers of the Las Vegas Raiders, and you're listening to RaiderNation Radio.
They motion everyone to the left, one-on-one for Bowers. Here comes the blitz. Gino sees it, lobs it towards the end zone. Bowers shoved to the ground. Made the catch! Oh my God! Bowers made the grab on his backside! One of the toughest catches you'll ever see! Brock Bowers on the turf, caught it with his one hand, and he smothered it into his chest. Wow! That is Brock in his prime, and that is a Raiders touchdown.
It's Unnecessary Roughness, presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
What a great call that was by Jason Horowitz, the voice of the Silver and Black. You hear Kirk Morrison on the call with them. Still got it. That was an incredible catch there. Brock Bowers, touchdown versus the Chargers. That was back in 2025. And as you heard, that Luda coming on in the number one spot. That's because Brock Bowers has that number one spot. He's got that respect across the National Football League when you talk to execs, when you talk to scouts, when you talk to coaches like Jeremy Fowler of ESPN did. He's been rolling out his top 10 rankings, and today was the tight ends, and we knew that Brock Bowers was going to be at the top of the list. Did not know if he was going to get the 1, 2, or 3 spot, only because didn't play an entire season. Obviously, the Raiders only won 3 games, but as opposed to, the talking heads, is like people like to say, this is actually the coaches and scouts and others, execs like that are coming up with this ranking. So even despite a down year, they still understand the talent that is one Brock Bowers. So he is the number one tight end. Not a big surprise across the National Football League. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We are your number one spot right here as well. We're taking over your number one spot on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies. And, of course, we always get fired up and excited about Aloha Friday, and we get fired up and excited about the show that we have each and every day, 3 hours long, 3 hours strong. Sam Warren from The Athletic, he'll line us up, and he'll start us off coming up at 2:30. I feel like I haven't talked to Sam in about a month. Right, last time I talked to him was right before I went on vacation, and man, it seems like it's been a minute. But Sam has a really good piece out right now on Jonah Laulu, the Las Vegas native, the Las Vegas product, who is very happy to be playing here with the Raiders, and he's got a big opportunity this year to really, solidify who he could be on that Raiders defensive line. So we'll talk to him about that. We'll obviously talk to him about Brock Bowers and what he could be for this Clint Kubiak-led offense. So Sam Warren from The Athletic will join us at 2:30. Our good friend Cynthia Frelund from NFL Network, Numbers Game on YouTube, she'll join us at 3. We'll also have that conversation about Brock Bowers and him being the number one tight end and how important he'll be for this Clint Kubiak-led offense. And a lot of the conversation has been Raiders don't have a number one wide receiver. They don't have that veteran wide receiver. They don't have that go-to guy. Well, as we've heard many times, and we've talked about it ourselves many times, Brock Bowers is that number one target. So we'll get Cynthia Frelund's thoughts on Brock, get her thoughts on everything Raiders related, of course, NFL related as well. We'll do that coming up at 3 o'clock. Our teammate, Brandy Flores from the Las Vegas Sports Network, she'll join us at 3:30, and she's got just about everything going on around town. She was at Summer League for day 1 last night. She'll be at the Conor McGregor fight at T-Mobile coming up on tomorrow. She's all around town, was on the press conference call for the Aces last night as well. So she's got just about everything covered. So that's exactly what we'll do. We'll scatter shoot everything with her at 3:30, including the Silver and Black. So it's always a really good conversation to catch up with Brandy. So the 3 o'clock hour will be the ladies' hour. Cynthia Frelund at 3. Brandy Flores will join us at 3:30. And then anyone who's trying to make a little money, trying to work your sports betting angle, Sir Whiskey Ray, I'm talking to you. Nick Bogdanovich will join us from Bet with Boomer. He'll join us, and he'll talk about some of the big events that are happening on this weekend coming on in town, including the fights that are happening, the UFC event that is happening, the World Cup that's going on right now. He'll tell us how folks are betting that as well. So we'll get a little bit of betting advice from Nick Bogdanovich coming up at 4 o'clock here on RaiderNation Radio 920 Unnecessary Roughness. Of course, we'll hear from you throughout the course of the show as well at 702-365-9200. So, again, on this Friday, man, we're packed. We're loaded to the gills. We're fired up. We're excited. It's Aloha Friday. Who doesn't feel great on Aloha Friday? And I will say, Ari, that opening that we had was fantastic and well-deserved by Brock Bowers. I still don't know how I feel without hearing the soothing sounds of my favorite place on earth that I just recently came back from, and that is Hawaii.
That's understandable. Give me about 24 and a half minutes, and you will hear some sweet sounds.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
we're
what I'm
in there.
talking
We're
about.
all over the place, so yes.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You're probably thinking, like, I don't know how you're so greedy, Q. You just had every day was Aloha Friday for the last couple of weeks for you, but okay.
I'm not thinking that. I'm with you.
It is all good, but yeah, fired up and excited about Aloha Friday. Fired up and excited about the conversation that we'll have with you, and of course 702-365-9200. That's the text line and the phone line. Also, it is a summer of fun that's brought to you by Terribles. So your last day to get hooked up with to get in to win, I should say, the New York City trip. You could take the trip, you could take the cash. The cash is $3,000, so it is your option. All you got to do is text the word hiking. So there you go. I know my man Ari was ready to give it. He was ready to deliver it. See, the one day I don't think that you have it ready, it's the one day that you have it ready. So that's how it is. So hiking is the word, H-A-K-H-I-K. Gee, I can't even spell hiking.
Boy,
I should have let you
now.
do it.
It's over.
You know what? Take two, Q. Go ahead, Ari. What's the word? Let him go ahead.
Such an excellent spell now. Hiking, hiking.
There you go. So
that's all right.
So
I messed the
juvenile.
numbers up, so
we're so juvenile
we
around
are,
here,
but it's
man.
Aloha
We can.
Friday, so it's okay.
Hey, man, look, it's going to get to a point where we're not going to be able to spell anything. So, hey, here you go. We're working on it. But hiking is the word today. Go ahead and get that text in, and like I said, you'll get in to win the trip to New York City. Starting on Monday, we'll have another trip that will be given out. Matter of fact, it's the Mississippi River trip, so we'll tell you all about that coming up on Monday with the morning tailgate. They'll let you know all that, and they'll, of course, give you the words of the day as well. But the word for today for the New York City trip, take the trip or take the cash, is $3,000, and the word is hiking. And, of course, that's being brought to you by Terribles. Before we get into the opening drive, we got to hear from our guy, E-Rob. You know, yesterday was important. This weekend is going to be busy and important, but today is as well, and this is why.
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out. Because you know I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
I'm in the business of now as well. So right now, let's go ahead and jump into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Padalaw. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
So we already got some great texts rolling through at 702-365-9200. I love that. Just Win Will said, listening to J-Rock call Brocktimus Prime plays will never get old. Aloha Q, aloha Ari, aloha Nation. That's it. Have a great show, fellas. Have a safe weekend, Nation. Aloha Raiders on this Aloha Friday. That's our guy, Just Win Will. Big Rob hit us up and said, what up, Q? Is it weird that we haven't had anything crazy go down with the Raiders this offseason? Is this the year we get a normal offseason? And, Rob, I'll say it's been productive. It's been somewhat quiet. Obviously, the biggest noise that happened this offseason with the Raiders was the Max Crosby trade, no trade. But ever since then, it's been very calm, cool, and collective. And honestly, even before the trade and even right after the trade, I think all of us on this show and I think Raider Nation would agree, this offseason has gone smooth. Right, even with that dust up with that trade, it's gone really smoothly. Right, you could tell that this team had a plan going into the offseason. You could tell that they were going out there and executing it, and they did. And even with that little bit of a hiccup, they were still able to go pretty smoothly. To me, it feels like when you're on a road trip, and this happens to me all the time, I'm terrible at this, but when you're on a road trip or you're going somewhere where you're not familiar with and you're trying to follow your GPS, and instead of, veering off to the right and maybe exiting, you all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oops, 600 feet, I'm supposed to go right. And instead of being crazy on the road, it's like, well, I'm just going to miss it and go up. And so it says, recalculating or whatever it says. That's all the Raiders had to do real quickly. They had to recalculate when the Max Crosby situation happened. And then they got right back on the road and they were good. They got to their destination. They sat down, had their dinner, and everything's been smooth. Now some people, they have to recalculate multiple times. The Raiders haven't had to do that. So to your point, yeah, it has been relatively quiet. Obviously, there's always going to be conversation. There's always going to be noise surrounding the Raiders. There's always going to be rumors that are thrown out there with the Raiders name added to it. You know why? Because it's sexy. It's way sexier to have the Raiders name attached to any kind of rumor as opposed to, I don't know, the Bengals, right? Or the Cardinals or insert even the Chargers. Like, there's a lot of teams that you insert that rumor to, that name, and it's boring. But you all of a sudden, you add the Raiders name to it because Raider Nation is the most passionate fan base. All of a sudden, boom, now you got something. Now you're cooking with grease. Right? So that's why a lot of times you'll hear all these BS rumors, and then it's so funny because you'll have the group of people that will buy into the BS rumors because a lot of them, and I'm not talking about the fan base, I'm talking about folks that are coming up with, content, but they don't really know where it's coming from. They're just kind of picking and choosing what they read and what they hear, and you know what I mean? And then they're coming up with something, and they're generating more of the fake content. It's just like, oh, okay, hey, that's a juicy rumor. Oh, hey, I heard that the Raiders were going to do this. All right, let's put something out on it. And it's like, it's why I never try to jump too quickly at anything. It's just I'd rather be correct than be first and be accurate. And if something doesn't seem right or seems a little far-fetched, it probably is. Like how many days ago was it that the big rumor was, oh, the Raiders want to sign Terrion Arnold, right? I mean, that was floating around just a couple days ago. Then his agent, Nicole Lynn, goes and testifies and says, hey, there's 4 teams that are interested in Terrion. And guess what? None of them were the Raiders. None. I think one was the Texans. One was the, maybe Jets?
I thought I saw, yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Lions, and I thought that there was another team. But you know who they weren't? The Raiders. But the first team thrown in there was the Raiders. And then there's, rumors, oh, the Raiders are the favorites to land Tyreek Hill. No, they're not. No, they're not. It's not going to happen. Like, I don't have to be in the building to tell you that's not going to happen. But it's a lot sexier to say, hey, the Raiders are going to add Tyreek Hill as opposed to the Jets are going to add Tyreek Hill. So what? You know what I mean? So that's just kind of how it goes. So, yeah, to your point, I didn't mean to go on a rant, but to your point, it has been a relatively quiet offseason when you kind of look at the grand scheme of things. I mean, again, the Max Crosby situation obviously was very noisy. Rumors are going to be very noisy. Should Fernando play or should he not play? That's a little bit noisy, but it's not drama, right? Which is a great thing. It's funny. It's similar to what's going on with the Cowboys. Like, they've been super quiet there in Dallas. That's almost scary because Jerry Jones, he wants to stir some stuff up. He's probably sitting there at the Star in Frisco right now like, Staven, it's too quiet around here. Can you come up with something? Can you do something? We're too quiet. They're going to forget about the boys. You know what I mean? Like, even George Pickens wasn't mad. He got the franchise tag, and he's like, okay, cool, I'll take $27 million guaranteed. Cool. I knew that was going to be drama. Nope. He just took it and rolled with it. So, yeah, it's been really quiet. So definitely appreciate that text. Then we got one from Mitch. Brother Q, why don't you buy some real estate in Hawaii? Don't be cheap on yourself. Yeah, brother, if I could afford some property in Hawaii, it might be under consideration. But I don't know if you've been checking out the prices of real estate in Hawaii these days, but it's not necessarily cost efficient. Let's just put it like that. It ain't bargain shopping, brother. I'm not going to the dollar store when you're trying to get some property in Hawaii, brother. It doesn't go down like that. So I don't know if you know what kind of job I'm in and what field I'm in. This is radio. This is not some kind of big mass production where I'm gonna all of a sudden get some kind of Stephen A. type money. That is not this ball game at all, brother. So yeah, it's a nice place to visit. But yeah, there's no owning no land in Hawaii, at least not in 2026. Maybe at some point, maybe that could be a goal someday. If it is, I might tell you. I probably won't, but you never know. That's how it goes. So appreciate that text as well. And of course, you can use the text line at any time, just like Mitch, just like Rob, just like Just Win Will, 702-365-9200. But I did want to get to the important conversation of the day, and of course it's going to be about Brock Bowers, as he did earn that number 1 ranking. And this is what they said: highest ranking 1, lowest ranking number 3, last year's ranking number 1. He said Bowers' second season was marred by injuries and a poor Raiders offense. For that, he mostly gets a pass in the voting. But his second consecutive number 1 ranking was more contested this time around, despite a respectable 64 catches, 680 yards, and 7 TDs in 12 games. Last summer, Bowers fended off the field convincingly thanks to him setting an NFL rookie record with 112 catches. As far as route running, separation, zone instincts, yards after catch ability combination, he's better than the field in those areas. That's what an NFL coordinator said. A down year won't change that. One sign of Bowers' greatness, opponents sometimes put their best cornerback on him, as Denver did with Pat Surtain II last season. People inside the league love Bowers' versatility as an offensive chess piece. He can line up in the slot, out wide, or even as fullback. He has breakaway speed, too, pushing the top speed of 19.58 mile per hour on a 57-yard touchdown versus Denver back in 2024. That was per NFL Next Gen Stats. So I tweeted that information out that came from Jeremy Fowler's piece on ESPN.com, the top 10 tight ends according to executives, scouts, and coaches. And so we got a tweet that followed that up from unsolicited commentator. He said, see, stuff like this makes me have to hold myself back from wanting to fast-track this thing. Clint Kubiak is going to scheme Brock Bowers into a monster. JSN as a tight end. Put that with Genty and Washington, and with a halfway decent line, we are cooking. So that leads me to the conversation that we have today. Does Brock Bowers, ranking number 1, and you know how good he could be when fully healthy, make you feel better about the Raiders not having that true number 1 wide receiver, at least not right now, that everyone claims that the Raiders need to have? Again, does Brock Bowers, ranking number 1 for the second consecutive season, right? 2 years, 2 number 1 rankings. You know how good he could be when he's fully healthy. Does that make you feel better about the Raiders not having that true number 1 wide receiver that many say they're going to need to have? And I'm right there with unsolicited commentator. My response was exactly, I'm good with Brock Bowers being the number 1 target this year because I know what he can do. And if the offensive line is worth the salt, I know the run game with Asher Genty is going to be a lot better. So I'm good with Asher Genty and Brock Bowers being the 2 main keys to the offensive juggernaut that could be led by Clint Kubiak, and let these other guys figure out what they are. Let Jack Bech figure out what he's going to be in this league. Let Dante Thornton Jr. figure out what he's going to be in this league. Let Trey Tucker see what he's going to do in his contract year. Speedy Naylor, why they brought him in. Like, I'm good with that. I have no problem. That's why I've been saying for the longest, I don't see the Raiders going out and making some big splash move. I know rumors were out there they're going to go trade for Justin Jefferson. I don't see that either. I was glad that rumor was floating around while I was on vacation, so I didn't have to, address it or anything. But I just don't see the need right now. I feel like you could run through this season, see how things go. If it works out well, then good. And if you feel like, hey, at the end of the year, I think we need a little bit something more, okay, that's fine. I don't think anyone thought that the Raiders were going to, kick in the door and knock down the entire building year 1 in Clint Kubiak. I think they're going to make some noise. I think they're going to do some damage. I think you're going to know that they're there and they're on their way. But I don't think that they're going to kick down the whole building just in 1 year. And it's funny when I read what the scouts and the coaches and the executives say about Brock, when I see him earning that number 1 spot, when I see that tweet from unsolicited commentator, I think about Kirk Morrison, who joined the show on Monday, as he always does. And, he played on Brock Bowers' softball team for a Team Brock in the battle for Vegas. But it goes back to what Kirk said. This is what he had to say on Monday about Brock Bowers.
Let's just be real. Brock Bowers is a number 1 tight end. I think I heard before I came on, you were talking about the tight ends and all that. Look, the number 1 tight end is going to be, to me, is Brock Bowers, who is fully healthy. I had a chance to play softball with him on Team Brock Bowers a couple weeks ago for Team Brock. And, man, the dude is like you don't know how fast he is till you're standing next to him. And I'm like, this dude can really go. Right. Like, this ain't no make-believe. This ain't no, old school. This is Gronk or, this is the other type. No. He is 1A.
Nice.
Maybe just 1 when it comes to tight ends. And so I bring that up as that he is your number 1 main target. And then you've got a bunch of guys who are going to be wide receivers that will play off of Brock, where you don't necessarily need to be looking or going out to find a veteran number 1 guy. Your number 1 guy wears 89.
It's funny, man. I was just looking at Travis Kelce's numbers. It wasn't even close. I mean, he was the number 1 receiver. It wasn't even close. Wow. But
don't tell people that. Don't tell it out loud, because people are all like, you need a receiver. You need a number 1. Patrick Mahomes, who some will say is the best quarterback in the league, he doesn't have a number 1 wide receiver. And they bring in veterans. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They brought in Marquise Hollywood Brown. They bring in Marquez Valdez-Scanlon, Tyreek Thornton. You can just start naming all of the receivers they bring in. But yet, it's always funny how that narrative is different versus the Raiders, because everybody else, the Raiders need to bring in a veteran. They need to bring in. Well, what? You don't think the Chiefs need to bring in a veteran that's productive? So, oh, man, it's just funny, man, because we are at that time of year where it's ranking season, it's list season, and it's rumor season. So we got about 3 more weeks for the rookies report. And then, July 28th, I'm ready to see all the guys get back to training camp and, see what this 2026 Raiders team will start to look like and shape up.
So Kirk Morrison, that was when he joined the show on Monday, as he always does, and broke it down and said, hey, 89 is your number one target. And the other guys could fill in the void, and they can go out there and do their thing. But obviously, and make no mistake about it, Brock is going to be that guy. And that's why you don't have to go out there and make some move and think that you have to bring in some number one, I say that in air quotes, wide receiver. And then he rattled off all those names that have gone through Kansas City, all those veteran wide receivers. And guess what? None of them have done anything more than what Travis Kelce has done for Kansas City. He has been that big, impactful player and continues to be that big, impactful player. So I throw it out there to you. Does Brock Bowers ranking number one, second consecutive year in a row, knowing how good he could be when he's fully healthy, make you feel better about the Raiders not having that true number one wide receiver that everyone claims that they need to have? Let us know your thoughts, 702-365-9200. We got Sam Warren from The Athletic coming up in less than 10 minutes. But let's go ahead and talk to our brother, Hardcore Raider. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind, my man?
Hey, aloha Friday. Hopefully you had a good vacation, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
well
sir.
Well deserved.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you back. I was thinking last week, actually, when you were gone, I was like, man, there ain't been much drama. We're going to jinx it, bro. Like, I'm just waiting for something. I'll be like, but you know what? I was thinking about, I was like, if the biggest drama is, like, is Kirk Cousins or Fernando Mendoza going to start, if that's, like, the biggest thing we got to worry about, I'm okay with that. We don't need other stuff we've dealt with in the past, if you know what I'm saying. So
exactly.
I'm cool with how things are right now. As far as Brock Bowers, I'm going to say a few things. All right. I think the dude has so much potential. It's insane. But I always hesitate with any athlete, okay, when it comes to sports, because potential only goes so far. And health is, like, always the first thing. Like, and you stay healthy. I don't think he's accident prone or, like, injury prone, and so, like, I don't want to go there with it. But for me, does he have potential to be the best? Yeah, absolutely. But we also have to see it. And I don't mean that negatively. To me, it's like more of like a positive. Like, let's see what he's going to do this year, because under the right scheme, yeah, he should get, more targets and get a lot more yards and touchdowns for us, especially in the red zone. However, they're probably going to be double teaming him because we don't have a number one wide receiver. I'm at a point kind of like how Lincoln Kennedy is. Like, let's see what we have in the cupboard. I don't think we need to go out and get somebody else or get a diva. Wide receivers are constantly divas. Like, I think we need to see what we have right now and prepare for next year. But I think there's a lot of upside with Brock Bowers being the number one. And then, see who else steps up to the plate. Like, we haven't seen much from Jack Besh, but wait till we get pads on, man. That's a big boy. You go over the middle, you hit him, he's going to be hitting you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm still positive to see what we have in Jack Besh, as well as all these other guys. I'd like to see Brock Bowers ball out this year, and we give him a contract, bro. That's what I want. I want him to go out there and hit like 10.
That's coming,
10,
brother.
Touchdowns. Let's do it, man. Let's give that dude a freaking contract early, bro. We don't need to go into his last year wondering whatever, dude. We need to be at a point where he balls out and we pay him accordingly, and we're all happy. And you know what? I think there's going to be a lot of good years with him as long as he stays healthy and we keep the plan, man.
Hey, good stuff. And yeah, that's coming. Right, that contract extension is going to be coming sooner rather than later. I mean, he's already going into year 3. Of course, he's going to, get that 5th-year option picked up, obviously by the Raiders. But I mean, if you think about it, that's right around the corner, right? I mean, he's going to have to get paid sooner rather than later, and he is going to obviously reset the market when it comes to tight ends. And I mean, just look at this deal that was signed from Kyle Pitts, right? 3 years, $54 million contract. So you could already start right there and say, Brock's going to get more than that. Right, so you can start putting that in your mind at some point. That will happen, especially with the way that he's played his first couple years and what the expectations are from him. And, it's funny when this ranking came out and he got that number one spot, I saw this tweet and I thought it was really a good one from Ryan Paganetti, and he was actually on the Raiders staff last year. He's a Super Bowl winning NFL analyst. He used to be with the Eagles organization, the Jaguars organization, and the Raiders. And he actually quote tweeted Jeremy Fowler's his piece that he had out on Twitter. He said, "We had a goal last year in Las Vegas of single-season record for catches and targets for Brock before the Week 1 injury." That's not me speculating. That's not me making up something. That's me telling you, passing along the information from the guy that was in the building and what the game plan was. Now obviously it all, went sideways once he got injured week 1, and that goes back to what Kirk Morrison said on Monday as well when he was talking about Ashton Genty. Once he got injured in week 1, all of a sudden that changed the game because now defenses said we don't have to double and put all our focus on Brock. Now we can worry about Ashton as well and make life miserable for him once he got injured. So a key will be, like Hardcore just said, him staying healthy. But I thought that was an interesting little nugget there from Ryan Paganetti on Twitter earlier this morning. We had a goal last year in Las Vegas, a single-season record for catches and targets for Brock before the Week 1 injury. So what that means, translation, I always like to live in the for dummies world, right? Me being the lead dummy. They were going to feed him early, and they were going to feed him often. And I definitely expect that to happen again this year. But now there's other weapons and a better scheme and a better play caller that's going to be working that side and that angle. And, oh, by the way, better quarterback play as well. 702-365-9200, text line, phone line. Let us know your thoughts. Does Bowers rank at number 1, knowing how good he can fully be when he's healthy, and he's healthy right now, does that make you feel better about the Raiders not having that true number 1 wide receiver that everyone claims that they need to have? Let us know on the text line. We got Sam Warren from The Athletic. He'll join us next. We'll actually ask him that, plus get into his piece about Jonah Laulu, the Las Vegas product. We'll do that next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
That was the opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
Pollard in the backfield with Cam Ward. Raiders showing blitz again. Heavy pressure. They back out. They bring just 4. Ward. Pressure up the middle. It's by Laulu. He wraps him up again. Jonah Laulu drops him at the 34. Pressure through the middle. And the Las Vegas native with a dance on a 9-yard sack.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Zippies.
So many tie-ins there. As we come back to Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920, we hear Jason Horowitz on the call. Big play by Jonah Laulu, the Las Vegas native, the young man who went to the University of Hawaii on this Aloha Friday, went to Oklahoma, and now is in Las Vegas with the silver and black. And, oh, by the way, our next guest has a piece out in The Athletic right now. Las Vegas native Jonah Laulu got to a place he never thought he'd be, home. Our next guest is Sam Warren from The Athletic. And, Sam, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. And you heard the sounds of Jonah Laulu. You did the piece on him. How cool is this for him? I've got to talk to him a couple times about playing in his hometown in front of his family and friends. But, in the piece that you put together, man, what was the breakdown on Jonah and his opportunity here in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think he's super excited to be here. He's played with the Raiders for the past 2 seasons, but we obviously saw him kind of level up his game a little bit last year. I think he's just super excited to have this opportunity. He's pumped to be a Raider. He said, he grew up without a team here and always wanted to be an NFL player, but didn't really have like the visualization or the physical representation to see, what it takes to be one. But now all the stuff that he does in the community, being out there for his camp, just seeing the way that he interacts with the local youth here, it's clear that he kind of wants to be a physical representation of what it means to be an NFL player and kind of a role model for the local Las Vegas community. So really, really cool story to see him kind of blossom into what he was last year and kind of going forward.
What are your expectations for him this year as part of that rotation in that defensive tackle room, especially when you know that Robbie Leonard goes from being the defensive line coach to now the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think he's pumped to have Rob Leonard as his defensive coordinator. He told me that he would die for Rob Leonard, so obviously he's bought into what he's got, what he's putting down. But yeah, I think it's going to be another similar thing that we saw last year. With the rotation, you add in Benito Jones too. So that's another veteran that it seems like he's going to get some reps. So I imagine he's going to get some starts. He's going to get some work in, but it's going to be more of a rotation again with Adam Butler, Thomas Booker, Benito Jones, and him. But, obviously there was some smoke about them adding to that defensive tackle room, whether it be in the draft or making a bigger move. But yeah, I think they're pleased with the way that he's produced, come along a little bit. And, yeah, they've got some veterans that they like up there.
I know we haven't seen training camp yet. Obviously, that's going to happen at the end of the month. But do you see a guy along that defensive line or in that defensive line room that could be a Robin to Max Crosby's Batman?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they brought in Kwity Paye to do that. He's another high-energy, high-motor guy that kind of, he doesn't play exactly the way that Max does, but he's another great run-defending guy that comes off the edge. So that's a guy that I think they're really excited about what he's going to be able to do, both rushing the passer and playing, on every down. He's a guy that can be out there all the time because of his pass rushing ability and his ability to stop the run. So, I think he's a guy that you will see out there on the field a lot. Will play a lot alongside Max, and hopefully he's going to produce and take some pressure off of Max on the other side.
Sam Warren from The Athletic is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920 and Necessary Roughness. You led me right where I wanted to go when it comes to taking the pressure off and making life a little bit easier on Max. With the defensive additions that they've made, defensive line group, obviously what they've done in the linebacking room, obviously they brought a lot of guys in the secondary as well. How much, I don't want to say easy, there's nothing in the NFL is easy, but how much pressure can be taken off Max because they have made so many additions on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I think a big thing to take pressure off of Max is one of the biggest things with, the relationship of the defense is that relationship between the pass rush and the pass coverage. And the fact that they've made so many additions to this secondary really tried to boost up their coverage unit. Hopefully that doesn't allow receivers and pass catchers to get open as easily, and that allows Max more time to get to the quarterback, make some sacks, make some pressures, turn some things into turnovers. So I think that's a big thing that could take some pressure off of Max, and the additions that they've made kind of all over the group, whether that's, other guys that can produce up on front, whether that's guys that are a little bit more of a threat in the second level in those linebacker units, and then also the pass coverage as well. So I think there's definitely some pressure that could be taken off of them.
We spent a lot of time on the show so far talking about Brock Bowers. He came in ranked as the number one tight end on Jeremy Fowler's list on ESPN. He talked to executives, scouts, and coaches. And I don't think it's a big surprise that he's number one for any of us that have been watching him. But everyone said that the Raiders need a number one wide receiver. Do you feel confident that Brock Bowers could be that number one target and really take the place of that number one true wide receiver that people are saying the Raiders need?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a guy that as long as he stays healthy, that's a guy who can eat up so many targets. Like we saw what Trey McBride was able to do in Arizona last year, and he was really their number one receiver, even though they've got guys like Marvin Harrison there. But he's really the guy that made their offense go. And, I think you could see a similar production from Brock as long as he's out there on the field. Really a guy that can get the chains moving down the field, and also, he has that ability to make those splash plays. But he's a guy that can take really some of the pressure off, like we were just talking about with Max, can take some of the pressure off of those outside receivers, guys that are playing off the line of scrimmage, to get open a little bit more, give them some more opportunities because he's going to draw so much interest and draw so much attention from the opposing defenses.
We saw Clint Kubiak scheme open Jackson Smith and Jigba all the time last year in Seattle. Not saying JSN wasn't going to get open, but just knowing what Clint Kubiak could do offensively, how do you see him fitting in this offense, and how big of a year do you think that Brock Bowers can have if he does truly stay healthy?
Yeah, I think he could have a huge year. We've already seen a little bit of what they're planning to do with Brock. It's not the same as having a receiver like Jackson Smith and Jigba, who you can move kind of all over the field, and you're not going to play Brock outside all the time. But you can kind of have a little bit of a similar effect by using him both in line, using him in the slot, where we've seen him be super effective playing in the slot and kind of that malleable tight end role, but we really haven't seen him used all that much from in line, running routes and having that production from there. So we know that Clint Kubiak likes using those two tight end sets. He likes having his tight ends play from in line. So seeing Brock play a little bit more inside while also continuing to play in that slot, playing in the outside role, I think you could see a little bit of a similar effect, and that could help him have a big year just with defenses having to adjust to where he's going to be on the field.
When training camp opens up at the end of the month, what will be the biggest storyline that you'll be paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest thing is the quarterback position with Kirk and Fernando. I think that's what everybody will be interested in, to see how Fernando develops. Obviously, we saw in the offseason program that they were taking him along slowly, but just how much he's kind of grown in this off period, what he's been able to do, how much he's been able to grow into this offense. So I'm really excited to see the development that he's put in on his own and how much he's come along. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is definitely to see him and this offense and what they're able to do, because I think everybody's obviously excited about what Clint Kubiak can bring and the explosion that this offense can have.
What does your gut feeling tell you about the quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza, and if and when Mendoza gets into the action?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything points to Kirk starting, and him having the reins to start the year. I think all that we've heard from Clint Kubiak, all that we've heard from John Spytek points that way, that they want to have the veteran out on the field. They want to have, and they have a lot of trust in him to be out there and be successful and kind of bring along Fernando behind him. Obviously, Kirk said that he doesn't feel like it's a mentorship role, but everything points that way. So I think we're definitely going to see Kirk early on, and then I'd imagine that Fernando will get some playing time, because you want to see what the rookie quarterback can do. But I would lean on that coming later in the season, as long as things go to plan, because just everything that we've heard, the Raiders have a plan of when they want to play Fernando, and they don't want to be influenced by external factors to mess with that plan, and make sure that they're putting him in exactly when they want to put him in, and they're not disrupting his development. So all that points to saying that Kirk and the veteran is probably going to be out there on the field, and Fernando will come along probably later in the season.
Sam Warren from The Athletic is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920 on Necessary Roughness. Just got a couple more questions for you. Sticking with Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins, is there a certain amount of games that you think Fernando needs to play, or are you good with, whenever the coaches decide to put him in is when he's going to be good to go?
Yeah, I think you definitely want to see him out there on the field. I'm interested. I've been trying to do a story on, what it means to sit kind of in this Clint Kubiak system, and what it means to sit as a rookie in kind of just the modern NFL game. So I'm hearing from some folks about what things mean, and kind of what the benefits are of that. But I think you definitely want to see players get out there on the field, see the quarterback, expose him to an actual NFL action. So it's definitely you definitely don't want to. I don't know. It seems like in where the modern game is, you don't want a guy sitting for the entire season. And we've seen some of the struggles that do come with that, maybe a little bit with the J.J. McCarthy situation in Minnesota. But I think they are comfortable with having Fernando not play as much and get out there as much, because they like the quarterback situation that they have, and they do have this plan of when they're going to bring him along.
We'll close out with this. Fantastic stuff as always. Sam Warren from The Athletic with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. When it comes to the offensive line, obviously, all reveal itself when it reveals itself, but there's going to be some competition, some pretty stingy competition, I think, on that offensive line. Do you have a gut feeling of who you think is going to be the five in line, or is this kind of a wait-and-see approach for you when it comes to this offensive line?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, as the coaches said, you really get to see where guys are at when the pads come on. I think there are two guys in Colton Miller and Tyler Linderbaum who, for all intents and purposes, probably have those positions locked up at left tackle and center. But I think all three other positions are really in play. Whether that's Spencer Burford at left guard, Jackson Powers-Johnson at right guard, and DJ Glaze at right tackle. Those are kind of the guys that are leading the competitions from what we saw in the offseason program. But really, that kind of all goes out the window, I think, when the guys put the pads on and you can really see how they're developed. So. I think Linderbaum and Miller are going to be the two guys that are leading the group. But we'll see what comes from those other three positions when they really get into training camp.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a storyline that everyone's going to be tracking. How quickly can this starting offensive line, how can they identify those starting five as soon as possible? Well, Sam, fantastic stuff, man. I know you got a vacation coming up next week, but what are you working on that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so I'm working on some longer-term stuff. I'll also be out there at Max Crosby's SAC Summit this evening, so looking forward to talking to him again, seeing where he is in his off-season program and going into training camp. But, yeah, working on some longer-term stuff until we get into training camp, and looking forward to putting it out there for everyone.
There you go. Well, we'll definitely be checking it out. We won't catch up with you next week. Like I said, you'll be on vacation. Enjoy your vacation, and we'll catch up when you get back, my man. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Q.
Absolutely. Great stuff as always. Sam Warren from The Athletic on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies. And again, he's got a piece out right now on the Las Vegas native Jonah Laulu on The Athletic, and you don't even have to pay for it. It's a free article if you want to go check it out, and I do encourage you to do that. Sam does a really good job, and as you heard him say, he will be at the SAC Summit. I think this is day 2 of the SAC Summit. Max Crosby, Von Miller, Cam Jordan, and a host of a lot of other pass rushers around the National Football League are in town. We do want to hear from you as we close out hour number 1 of the show, 702-365-9200. Brock Bowers, he got that number 1 spot on the top 10 ranking. You know how good he could be when he's fully healthy. Does that make you feel better about the Raiders not having that number 1 true wide receiver, as everyone says? And can he truly play that role? Let us know your thoughts. Give it again, 702-365-9200. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
And I always hear, not rumors, but I always hear, stories of how everyone in the Raiders facility is like, Max goes 110%, every single practice day. And I'm assuming that's you trying to get practice and elevate that to the level of the game. So you're really prepared for the game. So that's great to see from a veteran, something that I'm looking forward to trying to hop on as well.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
More from Fernando Mendoza, part of the Rush Podcast, alongside Max Crosby. Max Crosby's got his SAC Summit going on here in town. There's a lot of NFL players gathering around. They're doing film study. They're doing some field work. I know that they were at I don't know which casino it was, but I saw Max put out a little bit of a video with him and Von Miller and Cam Jordan speaking to everyone that showed up for the SAC Summit. They've been doing it now for a handful of years, and it's continuing to grow and grow each and every year. And we had Sam Warren from The Athletic on in the last segment, and he said he'll be going out there a little bit later on this evening. I went out there a couple of years ago on a Saturday after I got my hair cut and was able to watch some of the on-field activities, and they get after it. They get after it, and it's got the veterans out there showing the young guys some of the tricks of the trade, just kind of passing knowledge on. It's really cool. You see the tight ends doing it. Quarterbacks, they get together a lot of times where you're seeing the edge rushers get after it as well. So I think it's a pretty cool little thing that they've got going on here in Vegas with Max Crosby. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network, Number of the Game on YouTube. She'll join us coming up at the top of the hour, but let's go ahead real quick, hustle up to the phone lines at 702-365-9200. Brock Bowers, he got that number 1 spot. You know how good he could be when fully healthy. How much better are you feeling about the Raiders and their opportunity offensively, knowing that he's going to be the number 1 target? Not the number 1 wide receiver, but he's the number 1 target. Are you feeling confident that he could play that role in this Clint Kubiak-led offense? Let's go ahead and talk to our guy, the Money Man, Money Mitch. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Q, Ari. How you guys doing?
We're great on this Aloha Friday. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. I know it feels like yesterday, but it's a little late now. But tomorrow, my oldest grandson turns 4.
Nice. It does seem like yesterday. Damn, that was fast.
I didn't give you enough time. I know. It was like yesterday, right?
Yep. Wow.
Shit.
Good one. Ari, did you get that? Did you flush that? Did you flush that, Ari?
Yes, I did.
All right, good.
Hey, if he's healthy, they're going to have to double coverage Brock. And imagine if Big Mike, I know he's from Notre Dame, so what do you expect? I hope he can have a big year. I know that was you. That was a little fight on USC reference there, and we have a couple of young wide receivers. Don't give up hope, and those will be in as soon as possible. And I like them that season, but I think he's gonna make our wide receivers better. I don't want to be tanking for next year's crop. Let's just win one game at a time. It's gonna be Brock and Mike. Can you just imagine? And Kirk Cousins is a borderline Hall of Famer. So if he gets going too,
I mean, he's a Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer when you think about how much money he's made. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's being very loose with the term Hall of Fame quarterback.
He's got better numbers than Mr. Joe Namath.
It's a different era, brother. It's a different era. I could have better numbers than some of these quarterbacks at this stage of the game.
I know you only have to throw 250 yards a game to get 4,000.
Exactly.
And the rushing, 68, 65. My math is right or wrong. But with Stack at running back, fight on. Have a nice weekend, brother.
Hey, thanks so much, Money Mitch. Appreciate you. Really good stuff. It's always great to hear from you. East Oakland Raider, hit us real quick on the text line. What's good, Q? What's up, Nation? Brock is our number one receiver. He about to cook this year more than his rookie year alongside with Big Mike. I can see it. And that was the plan last year, right? That was the plan last year, is for Brock to get the most targets, get the most catches, and really everything feed through him. And it's funny, when I read that little nugget on Twitter, I remember Amber Thea Harris being on this show and saying it's going to be Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty. Everything is going to go through those two dudes. I remember specifically her being on this show talking about that. And obviously Brock Bowers gets injured week number 1 and things got derailed quite a bit. Jeanty wasn't able to have the season he was expecting to have his rookie year, and Brock Bowers was just never quite the same, only ended up playing in 12 games. But, still the number one tight end, according to, the executives, the scouts, and the coaches across the NFL. And we know that he's got that number one ability. We know how good he is based on what he did his rookie year. So excited what it's going to look like in year number 3 with Clint Kubiak. Cynthia Frelund joins us next, kicking off hour number 2. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
It's football, but everyone's a little bigger, faster, stronger. So you're playing in the NFL. What I dreamed of growing up and everything like that is pretty awesome. Man, best fans in the league. You see it. They turned out here in New Orleans, and they're just awesome.
Snap, O'Connell's looking, he's scanning, he's throwing, he's got Bowers at the 20. First down, he bounces off a tackle, and he's brought down between the hash marks at the 22. And that is 7 catches, 1 more catch, 1 more record for Brock Bowers. That right there is the Raiders' single-season receiving record, his 108th grab on the season.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
Kick off hour number 2 of the show. We come into the sounds of more Brock Bowers, and more Brock Bowers. He did earn that number 1 spot on Jeremy Fowler's top 10 tight end rankings. The only surprise for me is not that he was number 1, is that they didn't knock him for having a down year. But again, it's not, media members. It's actually guys that are NFL dudes. Like I said, when it comes to front office guys, when it comes to scouts, when it comes to coaches. And so that's why they gave him that number 1 spot, and he's going to definitely be that number 1 target. We know that for the silver and black. And everyone has said, everyone outside of the bubble that we're in here on RaiderNation Radio 920 has said, you need to go get that number 1 wide receiver. You need to go get that true alpha. You need to go get that true X. When, in fact, Brock Bowers is going to be that number 1 target. How are you feeling about him being that number 1 target? Can he be that guy? Do the Raiders have enough? Are you comfortable with what they have right now at this stage of the game, knowing that he's going to be that number 1 target, being in Clint Kubiak's offense and seeing how things go this year before they go and try to make some moves and say, all right, we got to go and address this position and bring someone else in? Let us know your thoughts at 702-365-9200. We were efforting Cynthia Frelund from the NFL Network. I don't think we're going to get her, and that's okay. We'll just keep the party rolling. That's what we do around here, but it just gives you more time to chime in on the show as well. Like I said, at 702-365-9200. We've got Brandy Flores from the Las Vegas Sports Network, our teammate here. She'll be joining us in about 25 minutes or so here on RaiderNation Radio 920. So we got a text from our guy, Sir Whiskey Ray. Happy Aloha Friday, gentlemen. Actually, Mexico, here I come as I'm boarding this cruise with my family. Looking forward to some quality time. I want to chime in and say have a great weekend, Raider Nation. I'm already drinking with some Raider fans here, and we're excited about training camp. Thanks as always, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Cheers, Sir Whiskey Ray. P.S. Spain looks good, and Messi and company will lock it up tomorrow. That's so funny. I swear you were just on vacation. I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad, but I swear Sir Whiskey Ray was just on another great trip. Didn't he come back from Hawaii before I went? I could have sworn he did. So, man, my man's in Hawaii. Now he's on his way to Mexico. Sir Whiskey Ray is always living his best life. So we could definitely appreciate that on this Aloha Friday on RaiderNation Radio 9:20. I did want you to hear this sound on Brock Bowers, kind of revisiting who Brock Bowers really is. Steve and Sam, formerly a Pro Football Focus. Now they've got the Rock the Mic. Is that Rock the Mic, Ari?
Check the mic.
Check the Mic. All right. Rock the Mic was, what was that, old MTV?
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah.
I think it was. Rock the Mic was old MTV.
It's a lot of things.
So
is Check
no,
the
but
Mic.
it was actually a show.
Oh, okay.
Or it was either a show or it was some kind of.
There's Freeway Rock the Mic or
yeah. Well, that's a great song, but I thought that there was a show. But either way, here's
sure.
here they are, the Steve and Sam talking all things Brock Bowers.
All right, we're on to pick 13. It's Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, going to the Las Vegas Raiders. At the time, I thought this felt like the Raiders really missed out. They were in desperate need of a quarterback. 6 quarterbacks go ahead of them. That had never happened in NFL history. The consolation prize is great, but I'll be honest, it didn't feel great to me, from a Raiders perspective, saying, oh, everyone else is getting their future quarterback or at least taking a shot, and we have a tight end. Now, the tight end is awesome, and he's an outstanding receiver, and we all loved Brock Bowers, but if you're the Raiders with a massive quarterback need, it was like, all right, Bowers is going to be a nice weapon for our next quarterback. We'll get one next year. And it turns out they waited 2 years until they finally got their real quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. And now Bowers is going to feel good as a year 3 player and a weapon for Mendoza heading into the season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had the need a quarterback, but it never felt like they were going to get their shot at one. Like all the way along, the top tier quarterbacks were all going to be gone, in the first 5 picks. And then it was like, what do you think about the next 3 guys? McCarthy, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. And it didn't, because everyone thought that Bo Nix and Michael Penix were sort of fringe first-round players. It was like a referendum on McCarthy. How high does he go? Do the Raiders like him? I said it just never felt like they were fitting a quarterback in this first round. But a guy like Brock Bowers, I think, okay, he's a tight end nominally, and that's not a position of value. But he was being talked about as a prospect as different, right? Not a normal tight end, number one, but also like an absolute difference maker, a genuine, number 1 threat in that Georgia offense. And what he did as a rookie was pretty spectacular, even without elite quarterback play throwing him the ball.
Yeah, I think he's as good as it gets. It's been a good run of first-round tight ends, I think, between him, Colston Loveland, and Tyler Warren. As much as I've soured on it, Bowers, though, he doesn't have the inline blocking skills, never really did from a Georgia perspective, but he brings enough in the pass game that I don't think it matters. And there'll be some pressure on him because Mendoza, like the receiving core is not great for the Raiders. You've got, Tucker coming off of a career year, and you're hoping that Jack Besh develops as a year 2 player, and it just doesn't look great on paper, but Bowers is going to be the number 1 guy. He also has a single vote for offensive rookie of the year.
Only 2 players from this draft got offensive rookie of the year votes, and he's one of them.
So there you go. That was a little on Brock Bowers right there. Check the Mic with Steve Palazzolo and Sam Monson, formerly a Pro Football Focus, doing their thing on their podcast, talking Brock Bowers. And we spent all day talking about Brock Bowers so far because he did earn that number 1 spot, top 10 tight end rankings. Jeremy Fowler's piece on ESPN.com. He's been rolling out all these different position groups. Join us now on the phone lines, as promised, is our good friend Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network Numbers Game on YouTube. And Cynthia, thanks so much for your time. We do appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. What do the numbers tell you about Brock Bowers and how big of a player he could be in this Clint Kubiak-led offense going into year 3 of his career?
Oh, yeah. This is an offense that's set up for a guy like him. I understand it's a completely different thing, but the way Jackson Smith and Jigba broke out, if we rewind the tape to last year at this time, I don't know if anyone thought that JSN would have just the year he had, right? They thought he was good and whatever, but imagine what's going on in the lab that Clint Kubiak's cooking up for Brock Bowers and all the different ways he can use him.
What do you think about, because all the conversation is the Raiders need to go get that number 1 wide receiver. And I'm not saying that they don't, but is it a pressing need right now, or do you think that they can go through this year and kind of see what they have in the cupboard first?
I'm going to be honest. don't grow on trees, and I think that getting the right mix of people is far more important than going out and selling out for a specific number one. Especially anyone who right now you might be able to acquire. It kind of feels like, what's wrong? Why would someone why would someone let someone like that go at this point, right? So, or why are they still on the market at this point? My point is, I think you have a lot of great assets, and there's no need to force a fit if it's not there.
Right. No, I'm with you again, 100%. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network Numbers Game on YouTube with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And, I saw a little nugget. And matter of fact, I want to make sure I get this 100% right because I know that you really respect this person, if I remember correctly. Hold on. Now, see, you caught me slipping here. Hold on.
No, you're good.
Ryan Paganetti. Didn't we have a conversation about him last year? Yes. Well, he said that we had a goal last year in Las Vegas, a single-season record for catches and targets for Brock, but then he got injured in week 1. So could you imagine, and I'm sure you understand what he was talking about even more, how they were planning on running this offense through Brock and through Ashton Genty?
Oh, I mean, it was like Chip was like every play is to Brock. Like if 70% of the plays were to Brock, that feels conservative to me. So, I mean, he's smart because, obviously you want to bring what is it when they call him a Ferrari or whatever? You want to actually use the thing that you have, not just look at it.
No, man, no doubt. I saw that note and I immediately thought of you because I remember, I want to say when he got hired last year, we had a conversation and you were pretty excited about the addition that he brought to the table. So obviously it didn't work out with the season that the Raiders had, but
Right. I mean, Pete Carroll didn't work out. Like it's not, that's got to wholesale change things, and we all know how that goes.
Absolutely. Again, Cynthia Frelund is with us here, RaiderNation Radio 920, and you cover the team. You're not here every single day, but you cover the team. You talk about them all the time. Just with the new coaching staff, the new look, everything that John Spytek's been able to do. How should Raider Nation feel about their team right now, a couple weeks out of start of training camp?
Excited. I mean, look, do I think that they should be booking their flights to Los Angeles in February? I think pump the brakes on that just a little bit, but you have to remember, I mean, progress in the AFC West should feel like it's doubled, right? Because you're playing against Patrick Mahomes. Woof. Like that's never fun, right? You're playing against, the Broncos who were in the AFC Championship game. And then the Chargers have brought in a brain trust of, especially on the offensive side of the ball, a brain trust of people to try to figure this puzzle out. And, theoretically their O-line is back to being healthy, or at least healthier than it was the end of last year where they had no tackles left. So it's not like this is a division that's cake, right? If this was the NFC South, we could be talking about a playoff run, right? But right now I think we talk about let's have Fernando Mendoza, let's set him up for success so that this becomes a long-term solution, and then we can solve all the other problems. But you solve quarterback, that is a huge solve to any sort of puzzle. And people ask me, do you think it's Kirk Cousins week 1? Do you think it's Fernando Mendoza week 1? I say mentally, I think you got to think of the mental stuff even more so than the physical stuff, because I think Fernando Mendoza's physical attributes would absolutely dictate that he's there. But remember, this game is so much faster than the college level, even the level he played at, that maybe it would be okay if he roll him in. Like, don't make him come out week 1 necessarily. I don't know his person. I haven't been been there, and I don't know what would be best for him. But I just want to avoid a situation where, like, Bryce Young had to overcome being benched and for Andy Dalton, and then had to figure it out again. Like that's not the best way psychologically, it would seem, to set your quarterback up for success.
Is there a certain amount of games or, kind of something that you're looking at and you're projecting of you'd like to see Fernando get at least this much under his belt his rookie year, or is it kind of one of those wait and see how the coaches feel about when he's ready to get into action?
I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to be afforded the time, but I would love to see a Patrick Mahomes situation where he doesn't come in until the end of the season. It's never going to happen. You're asking me what Cynthia Frelund would like, but I'm telling you, I'd like for long-term, I just feel like for long-term Raider success, like a little delayed gratitude or a little delayed gratification might be the way to go. It's like those kids with those marshmallows in that study, the ones who were more successful, they didn't have to eat the marshmallow, whatever. So I think let's not eat the marshmallows, let's leave those marshmallows there and you can get 2 later.
I love it. I love it. Only here on Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 can you get Don't Eat the Marshmallow Breakdowns. I'm just saying.
That's right.
This is
That's right.
This is how we do.
It's a famous study, and you know what? We have to bring it. It's friggin' July. We can bring up marshmallow studies in July. I mean, I can do it in the season too, but
I'm about to say you can bring up marshmallows anytime you want. I have no problem with that.
I really
that is
do
fantastic.
love s'mores. To be fair, I think s'mores are the best, the hands down best dessert you can have. So, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just like wanting a s'more. I'm not sure.
There you go. Hey, like I said, whatever it is, I'm good with it. If you bring it to the table, we're going to rock with it. I'm all right with that. You did mention the Chargers. I did want to get your thoughts because they do have Mike McDaniel there as the offensive coordinator, and I think he's a sharp OC. I don't know about him being a head coach, but he's a sharp OC. How do you think that offense is going to look? You mentioned the tackles being healthy now. How do you think that goes in L.A. this year?
Okay, so you got you have Mike McDaniel, great OC. You have Adam Gase, who was maybe not a great head coach, but a great OC if you go back in the day, ask Jay Cutler. So you've got like this brain trust of people here with lots of different ways of, taking bites at the apple. Then you've got Justin Herbert, who has really yet to show us just how talented his arm is over an extended period of time. So, I mean, if those things sometimes it's like Charger's going to Charger, like they will find some way to mess this up. But for all intents and purposes, they have really at least tried to make that offense something that is interesting and compelling. So I'm not sure about I will hold my judgment about what goes on with the defense. I don't necessarily think it's the strongest defense I've ever seen, but I do think they're going to have a really fun offense, and that can cure a lot of illnesses. Just ask the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals are one of those teams that I look at, and I didn't think Zach Taylor was going to be the longest running head coach in that division, but here we are.
Can you imagine? Here we are. The
right.
last one standing, Zach Taylor. What? Okay.
Exactly.
Whatever.
What do you think about him this year? Is there something he has to achieve this year, or do you think he's still good to go because, the Bengals aren't necessarily one of those teams that just necessarily hires and fires?
I'll be honest, you need to look at how many years are left in his contract because they do not tend to fire early because it seems like they're not the spendiest organization.
Right.
Maybe they should be, but maybe they should invest a little strategically elsewhere, but they don't. They tend to be pretty frugal. So I would say that the chances Zach Taylor's there are 100% dependent on what his contract says.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
90% dependent. If the wheels fall off, I mean, you still have Joe Burrow, but
I think he has one more year left on his deal.
Okay, well then, unless they figure some things out, but you have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins, I do like what they did. I like the acquisitions they made on defense, given that they got Trey Hendrickson, they refused to pay him, blah, blah, blah. We all know the story, but I think they did a nice job of improving their defense. And if Joe Burrow can stay healthy, which that's always the question, then we'll have to see who they become.
Where do you think Patrick Mahomes is right now as far as ranking of quarterbacks in the league? Because we know how great he's been. We know he's coming off, the ACL surgery, but there's so much conversation about the last couple of years trending back just a little bit. So how do you view Patrick Mahomes right now?
I hate to say this on a Raiders based thing, but
good.
I don't think anyone's better than him. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not suggesting every game has been played to the highest of his abilities given injuries. Yeah, we get it. But I think when it comes to the balance of kind of athleticism with God-given talent with diagnosing defenses, he's like right up there, GOAT status with Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning, whatever, all the greatest of you could argue. I don't think there's any I think that it's possible that this injury could actually create in him kind of, I don't want to liken him to Aaron Rodgers in any way because they're very different people and they're very different. But the strategy as Aaron Rodgers has aged has relied more on what's between his ears, and he's super smart when it comes to football. And so Patrick Mahomes will get a chance to see now what happens when they run the ball a little bit more and conceivably better. Does that give a new element to the offense so that you don't have to rely on Patrick Mahomes side-arming from a 45-degree pivot off of his left knee with his right leg up, crazy things that we nicely call them off platform, but like they're just like heroic, crazy. You would not want to teach someone to do that type of play. So it's possible that the silver lining for tearing an ACL is that could change a few things in his game to create a little more of a strategic edge to it. And at least for a little while, that would give defenses some problems and give them an edge because, there's a lot of film on Patrick Mahomes. So now you have something really different that you could be looking at. By the way, Art and Marianne, my parents, they're coming to the Chiefs Raiders game in Las Vegas. They're going to the Sphere first, and then
Nice.
They're coming to Vegas because my parents love Vegas, obviously, but they're going to come to that. That's the game they chose this year.
Nice. Well, there you go. We'll have to welcome them in with open arms. We're
my mom's
excited.
insane, so you'll enjoy my mom. You should have her on here. She would have a lot more crazy things to say than me. She's very, very opinionated, that one.
I want to say, haven't I seen your mom do a show with you? I think I have, haven't I?
Oh yeah, she comes on Thanksgiving with me always, and she gives. I have to edit her because she will say things that I'm like, you cannot say that.
Well, I mean, Ari's got the dump button. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. So we just got a new sponsor, Moonlight Plumbing. So sometimes we have to flush a call. So if she says something that she shouldn't, man, we'll just flush it. We'll do it. We're good.
I mean, usually she's not saying anything. She just has opinions and she's not afraid to say them. She'll be like, I don't like him. And I'll be like, why? And she'll be like, because I saw him on the field and he looked like he was quitting. And who quits on their team? So screw that guy. And you're like, okay, Mom.
I like it. Hey, sign me up. Sign me up. I think Raider Nation would definitely welcome her in with open arms to this fine program we call Unnecessary Roughness. Well, Cynthia, fantastic stuff as always. It's always great catching up with you. I know training camp is a couple weeks away, but what are you working on that we should be on the lookout for?
We got a total reboot of some new numbers game stuff coming. I know I keep saying that, but we're formatting some stuff. And I have something very cool that I'm doing with Donors Choose, which is a nonprofit in the education space. Like it allows teachers to put up like an ad for what they would like if they need scissors or they need art supplies, and you can fund the teacher's project. It's an awesome organization. So to trade off, if people make donations to Donors Choose, then I'll pick their fantasy order for their team. So we're going to do a fun little charity element to start the season off right.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Make sure you let us know about that so we can continue to promote that, too. I think that's really cool. I like that. I'm always down for that. So between
it's
that.
back to school season. My mom's a teacher. I'm obviously a big nerd, and I like school. So let's help those teachers out because teachers pay for all that stuff themselves, and they don't get paid very much. So let's do it.
No doubt. Let's do it. We'll work together, Cynthia. We got you. No doubt about it. Thanks so much. We appreciate you.
You got it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks so much. Great stuff. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network, Numbers Game on YouTube with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. It's always good catching up with Cynthia. And, hey, her mom could come in studio, hang out. We're good, right? Who doesn't want a little bit of trash talk? We're good with that, right? Get Money Mitch on the line, right? Get my guy Hardcore Raider on the line. Get Raider Mike on the line, right? We can have us a hell of a party here. We'll have to do it on Aloha Friday, though, so we're already in a good mood. So when Ari's rolling his eyes when he has to keep dropping the dump button on us.
I'm going to start charging people for this.
No. That is too funny. That is too funny. But, yeah, I'm good with that. That would be cool. That would be really
By the way,
cool.
just a teeny bit of validation from earlier. The Rock the Mic was the tour. You're right. It was the 2003 Summer Hip Hop Festival. So
See?
You're not crazy.
I know. Look, man, I ain't got these platinum plaques behind me here in Studio Q for no reason.
Well, that's why I look, because I'm like, he's on it. Like, I know he's talking about something. I just have no idea. So there you go.
Hey, man, look,
there was something.
Back in the day, man, MTV, I don't know if you know this, they actually had music.
Whoa.
It wasn't just reality TV shows. They actually had music. One of my favorites that they used to have is those unplugged concerts.
Oh, they were great.
Yeah. Jay-Z, The Blueprint was the best one, where the Roots were the band playing.
You and I have had this conversation before.
Oh, we have, huh? There you go. I knew it felt familiar.
That's how good it is, yeah.
I knew the conversation felt familiar, but that was one of my – I think I wore that CD out. We got that CD. We were supposed to give it out on the streets, and I was at the radio station in Fresno, and I was like, nope, this is coming home with me. And, man, I wore that thing out. I honestly think – because this is back in the day when you had you could take the face off your stereo.
Oh, yeah. Blaupunkt.
Well, I don't know what brand I had, but I was able to take the face off my stereo and take it with me so no one would steal it. Of course I lost the face.
Oh.
I don't know what happened to it. I lost the face. But I realized at that point, all you needed was something that you could put into – there was a little hole there, and you could put into it, and it would still work. Oh. Now, the problem is you couldn't change the station, and, so you were really – it was a one-man band. And guess what was in the CD player when I lost the face?
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so, it was either whatever radio station was on, I'm sure it was the radio station I worked at, Q97, or it was that CD. And so, until I got a new radio, and I don't think I got a new radio for a very long time. So,
man, if you had to choose one CD you're stuck with, because that's what it is, you're stuck with.
That wasn't a bad one at all. There was a couple Kanyes when Kanye was still cool that I used to rock and I used to wear out. But that was, like I said, when Kanye was still cool. So there was that. I hate that I have to always reference all these different rappers when they were still cool.
You. Yes,
there's so many of them though.
Yep.
That's a shame. There's so many of them.
And they were so cool at one point. And their music was so good, if we're talking about Kanye.
Diddy put out the remixes. Like, this is the remix. That CD was incredible. Again, when he was cool.
R. Kelly had some bangers, some feel-good
when
music.
He was cool.
Yep.
We can go down the list, right? I could do a 3-hour show on hip-hop and R&B artists when they were cool.
That we're low-key ashamed to reference these days. But
right, exactly. Unbelievable. It's like you go back, you start thinking about some of those lyrics, you're like, damn, I should have seen that one coming a long time ago. Man. What was I thinking?
I guess. Oh, well. Sometimes I think the opposite. Like, this isn't any of what you were talking about before, and now you're money changes.
Too.
Yeah.
That too. So
who knows?
Let's go ahead and get back to Aloha Friday. Why don't you go ahead and get some winning now before we get to Brandy Flores?
Perfect. Great segue. You should be a radio host. I got a 4-pack of tickets to see the Aviators against the Tacoma Rainiers coming up at the LV Ballpark. That is tomorrow, 7-Eleven. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or right now with me, 702-365-9200. Caller 9 must be a Nevada resident.
You mentioned 7-Eleven. Do we still have those? Are they still around?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I've been noticing, a lot of random...
Oh, no, there is. There's one near my barbershop. Do they get out? Do you get Slurpees still on 7-Eleven?
I think they do that, yeah. Some kind of a... Oh, yeah, you just bring I mean, don't quote me on this, but in the past it has been you just bring a container, whatever you got, and you could fill it up, and then people would bring those 7-gallon water cooler things.
No way. Not that much.
I don't know.
No way.
That's more of a thing I noticed on Twitter, but I don't know if people would let them do it or not, but yeah, they'd be like, I'm going to the 7-Eleven with my... this giant...
you couldn't tell me nothing. Back in the day, if I had a chance to get a Slurpee, it was on and popping, man. Then you got the little reflector underneath the cup. You get the little reflector. Yeah, I'm just showing my age. Somebody's like, I don't know what he's talking about. What the hell's a Slurpee?
You guys know.
Ari's going to send you out to the ball game,
That's
man.
Right.
702-365-9200. Call number 9 is what he's looking for. We got Brandy Flores joining us next. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
That first time that you scored, hearing the crowd roar, what was that like?
It was fun. First time I heard them roar was during the introductions, during the starting lineup. It was just crazy. I'm in Vegas getting a lot of love, so I always love my fans.
Here's Devonta attacking. Reverse layup is good. Devonta, great pass and a basket by Will Riley plus a foul. You see Devonta with the dish. That time we know he can score.
You're listening to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
That was the number 1 overall pick versus number 2 overall pick last night. The Wizards and the Jazz. A.J. Devonta versus Darren Peterson. A.J. went for 27 and 7, while Darren Peterson had 24 points. He had 8 turnovers and I want to say 9 fouls as well. But Darren Peterson was out there lighting it up. They did not disappoint. That was Summer League action, their first opportunity, some real NBA since being drafted not too long ago. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Joining us now is our teammate, Brandy Flores from the Las Vegas Sports Network, who was there to witness that game between Devonta and Darren Peterson last night. And Brandy, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you. Saw all the videos that you were, posting and just kind of all the coverage from Summer League, the first opening night of it. What was that atmosphere like for you, seeing Devonta and Darren Peterson going up against each other last night?
Well, I got to say, it was my very first time ever covering NBA Summer League, and the atmosphere, it was absolutely off the charts. There was not a single seat left empty, I want to say. And not only that, all of the Wizards vets, including Trae Young and Anthony Davis, they were in the stand, not in the stands, they were courtside watching their young stars, and everybody extremely excited to watch Debonsa play. He's obviously the first overall pick. They're really banking on him to help turn the franchise around, and I think having Anthony Davis there with the other Wizards teammates, knowing that he's seeking a long-term contract, is a good sign for Wizards fans. But, I mean, it was a great matchup. The Wizards jumped out to a early lead led by Debonsa, I will say. Watching the players go after it, you could tell that the speed was getting to them. I want to say maybe midway through, maybe like in the third, fourth quarter. You could tell like they were all getting gassed. And I'm not going to point out any specific player, but they were all getting a little bit gassed because the speed of the NBA is much higher because, yes, there are a lot of rookies and young guys playing, but there are also guys who are looking for contracts, whether they're two-way, who do have experience in the league already. So that was cool to see. There were a lot of, you mentioned the fouls, there were a lot. Debonsa was getting hit every time he went up on that dunk, I think that went viral last night. I can't remember if it was in the first quarter or second, but he was like getting manhandled on the way there. Still made the dunk. So he's absolutely outstanding. I think lived up to the hype, to say the least. And then, of course, the Wizards ended up winning the game. So that was cool for them.
Yeah, they held on. They were up big, and then all of a sudden they had to hold on to that victory. You covered the Washington Wizards. You were in D.C. for a long time. What could a guy like Debonsa do for that organization, especially when, as you mentioned, they have Trae Young? As long as they got everything worked out with Anthony Davis, it looks like they have a little bit of a foundation that they're building there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, and the Wizards have been really, really banking on trying to get that first overall pick, and they did miss out on the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. However, I think Debonsa being an addition to their team now, being able to finally win the lottery for the draft, I mean, he is definitely, I think, who they've been waiting for. And I think for Wizards fans, it'll definitely be worth the wait. It was cool to see all the role beat writers that I knew. And in talking to Wizards PR, they're like, oh, my God, like, this is crazy. They've never been the center of attention ever. Right. And they're like, the PR staff is running around like Sports Center wants them, and then the medium scrum wants them. And so I think and they're like excited, of course, that, somebody of that stature, Debonsa, what he can do for him. And one thing that I did learn that was interesting was that he is just very calm, cool, collected. You could just tell he has a sense of maturity when speaking to him afterwards in the press conference. And I think, again, like when we talk about these young players and what they can do for franchises, I think, one, not letting the moment be bigger than them. He was still talking about how ways he can get better, and it's his first NBA Summer League game. And just having a sense of self, but knowing that, not coming across arrogant or anything of that nature. He's more locked in and focused on the task at hand. And I think that is something that you can't teach. And when you want someone to be the future face or help turn a franchise around, you need someone who is a team player. That's foreshadowing for, I think we're going to talk about Chennedy Carter next, right?
Yeah, got to do it. Again, Brandy Flores is with us here, RaiderNation Radio 920 and Necessary Roughness. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. I mean, you were on the press conference call with Becky Hammon. I know she didn't really speak on Chennedy Carter, but a player that I was excited to see play with the Aces is no longer there. What was your feel, and what do you think went wrong with Chennedy Carter and the Aces?
Well, I think from the very, very beginning, I'm going to take it all the way back to Media Day for the Aces, and Chennedy Carter was there. She hasn't played in the WNBA because of whether there was whatever issues that she had off the court, on the court with other teammates, what have you. It was her first time back, and she seemed pretty, honestly, like excited to be a part of this team. When asked about joining a championship team, she's like, I'm ready. I'm excited to be part of this team. Keywords, part of this team. Then, of course, the season gets rolling. She's coming up off the bench, and she was making a great case to be the sixth woman of the year, or sixth man of the year. And everybody, even the fans, were like, why isn't she playing more? Why isn't she playing more? But when you got people like, Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, of course, and Chelsea Gray, amongst others, they need a firepower like Chennedy Carter coming off the bench. And I'm not sure if the chatter or what got to her after her injury. She came back. She was not scoring as much. Her demeanor on the court, off the court was interesting. I went to a couple games a couple weeks ago where she was out with an illness, which seemingly seems to be, Yeah, but I will say, after speaking to some people, I'm not with the team every single day, but after speaking with some people who do cover the team every single day and have some more sources, they allegedly that illness was an actual illness, whether or not we want to believe that or not. However,
right.
But I thought it was telling that she was out, right, with a sickness, but she was not there on the bench with her teammates, which she was previously when she first got injured. And she was in the building. They do a chapel before every game, and our partner over on ESPN Las Vegas, John Von Tobel, who was at the game, saw Chennedy Carter going into chapel, but when the game started, which was pregame, she wasn't there. She wasn't there to support her teammates. And I'm going to read, obviously, a quote that I got from USA Today's reporter Callie Finn. She was previously with the Las Vegas Review-Journal, who covers the Aces on that beat, and she said that back on May 17th, that was like the first moment that really raised eyebrows. It was Carter's third 20-point game in 5 outings, but she wasn't on the court to close the fourth quarter. But the Aces did end up winning thanks to a jumper from Chelsea Gray. And after the game, mind you, they won. Chennedy Carter said, quote, obviously, I want to help the team close in the fourth quarter if possible. I'm still going through it. I'm a little bit disappointed, happy we won. That tells me all I need to know about Chennedy Carter. If you're coming to a team that is already established, you are part of the team. You are not the star.
Right.
Obviously, she wanted more minutes, but it doesn't matter. Like, you guys won. And that's in that specific instance. You guys won. Who cares? Like, who cares? Like, at some point, you did contribute to that win because, like I said, she had 20 points that game. So just because you're not on the final moment and you are not the star or on the court with the stars was very odd to me because I'm unsure where her mentality kind of is when knowing that she had to come to the Aces and be a part of something that has already been established. And so fast forward yesterday to the press conference, head coach Becky Hammon refused to answer questions about players who are not on the team. It's actually what she said, which, I mean, I get it, but it's a little bit unfair if you ask me. So in another different, but I'm not, at the moment I wasn't sure if, is that the Aces PR telling her to not answer the question? Is that the WNBA not answer the question? Because the WNBA is kind of going through a lot of things in terms of, like, PR turmoil right now. Like, maybe they're like, we don't need another thing. Because it's Chennedy Carter news when they waived her, when they cut her, made national headlines, right?
Yep.
So Becky didn't answer it, so I was like, okay, what's a different way I could try to, like, get something out so we have something? And so I asked her, what type of players that you add to this roster, you already know the blueprint because you've won multiple championships, coming off a championship last year, what are some attributes that you look for in a player to be on this team and to buy in? And then she gave more of her answer, and then she gave a longer answer, basically talking about how throughout the season she speaks with her team about being a team player, how it's not a solo sport, how you have to play both sides of the court, how all these little things. And she talked a lot about the character and how you have to be a part of a team and part of a team. Like, you are not the star. This is a team sport. And you and I have been in lots of press conferences. If somebody doesn't want to answer a question, for example, in this instance, if Becky would have just kind of ignored my question or just kind of brush over it, then I would be like, okay, this is a Becky Hammon doesn't want to answer this question. Like, that has nothing to do with the Aces. But her answering my question, and she went on for like a minute, describing in detail the type of character she wants on her team, that tells me that maybe it was not Becky Hammon's decision to not answer that first question about Chennedy Carter, because it was a fair question. I do think fans deserve to know specifically why you cut a player who was producing very, very well. And so that was interesting, and that did tell me that what we all thought. It was a character issue, most likely, than not.
Yeah, it was, and it was unfortunate. It was kind of one of those things you knew going in that there was a chance it could happen, but you kind of figure if she can't make it with the Aces, where is she going to make it in the league, right? Because they've got so many really good players and so much leadership, and you would think that was going to be a great opportunity for her, but unfortunately it didn't work out. They'll move on. They'll be fine. They've got Asia Wilson. They've got a cast of characters that are fantastic. Again, Brandy Flores, Las Vegas Sports Network, is with us here. RaiderNation Radio 920. Now, not only are you doing Summer League, not only are you covering the Aces, not only do you cover the Raiders, and we'll be out at training camp in a couple of weeks, you're also covering UFC 329, Conor McGregor and Max Holloway, right? This is going to be a battle, and Conor's been off for 5 years. What are your expectations for this one coming up on Saturday?
Well, I think more than anything, it's going to be – I'm hoping for quite the show. Conor McGregor, when he went out, Dustin Poirier literally broke his leg, and I will never forget watching that. And, I was not in person, but watching that on TV, and he's still talking smack with his broken leg sitting on the side of the octagon. That is, just a sports memory ingrained in my brain because you think, wow, this guy is nuts. Right. But I will say I think we're going to get a lot of that type of Conor McGregor. He seems excited to be back. I did not personally, because I've been so busy with doing all the things you listed, I have not personally gone to any of the UFC events this week, so I will provide that disclaimer. However, in watching back the press conferences, he made it very adamant that he has a lot to prove to himself, and he's really excited to be back for the fans. Of course, Dana White has said that this might be the biggest, they might make the most money ever in UFC history. At the gate, which that is a type of pull that Conor McGregor has. Of course, he's fighting Max Holloway for the second time as well. Max Holloway, last time we just saw him in Vegas, he did lose to Charles Oliveira, and that was a controversial loss. The fans wanted more action, so I think this is good for Max to come back, face Conor. I think it'll be a good fight. That last time they fought was way back in 2013. McGregor won by decision. I believe it was unanimous as well. And not only that, he tore his ACL, I believe it was a second round, still took him down and won. So I think if Conor McGregor can reach back in the past, and we also don't know his leg injury, obviously it's been a long time since he's had that, since he's recovered from that. But I think anytime an athlete comes off a serious injury like that, it's always a big question mark, is he going to be who he was before? Does that leg inhibit him at all? And that'll be interesting to see. Right now, for the betting odds, McGregor, he's a 180 underdog. Holloway's a betting favorite at minus 225. So you could make a little bit of money if you're a Conor McGregor fan. I believe the margins were a little bit wider, but with so many people putting money on McGregor because the fans really, really want to see him back, that'll be exciting as well. And I do want to bring up an article that I read by ESPN. Brett Okamoto wrote this. He talked about McGregor, how this is not only is a big fight for him making his stance back into the UFC, but is he going to make his stance back, and is he going to be that ultimate fighter and be a legit competitive contender back at the mountaintop where he was, years ago? Or if he kind of falls flat, or just doesn't put on as exciting of a show, will every Conor McGregor fight in the future be, we're going to go see Conor McGregor, the celebrity, not necessarily Conor McGregor, he's going up against another great fighter. So I thought that was a really interesting perspective, and there is kind of a lot on this as well. And not to mention, Conor McGregor has faced a lot of legal issues and allegations that are quite heinous, if you ask me. So going through all that, he seems unfazed by that, but that also takes a toll. We saw that with going over to boxing. Gervonta Davis, he was facing a lot of allegations as well of his own, and that distraction did kind of impact him in the ring when he drew against a fighter who, I'm not going to say beneath him. This is Lamont Roach, because Lamont Roach really stepped up, and he's actually going to be fighting in Vegas this coming August. But Gervonta Davis should have not drew against him. He should have came out and won flat out. So It'll be very interesting to see. There's a lot surrounding this, Q. There might even be people who are outside protesting because a lot of people feel that strongly that Conor McGregor does not deserve to be back in the ring because of these allegations surrounding him. So it's going to be quite the spectacle, quite on brand for Conor McGregor. I'm going to say that.
I agree with you 100% on that, and I'm glad you referenced that article because that's kind of how I was feeling. Like, am I going to see Conor McGregor go out and be that dude when he used to, whoop everybody and it was so entertaining, or am I just going to now go out there and see a guy who's trying to be an entertainer and not necessarily as a threat as a fight? But I'll be watching. I promise you that. He's one of those guys that if he's in the octagon, I'll definitely be paying attention to that. Well, Brandy, we'll close out with this. Fantastic stuff as always. Brock Bowers, no surprise, got the number one spot on Jeremy Fowler's top 10 tight end list. We've had all the conversations about do the Raiders need a number one wide receiver. Obviously, he's their number one target. What are your kind of thoughts on Brock Bowers in this Clint Kubiak-led offense, and how big time can he be this upcoming year, in your opinion?
I mean, I am more excited. I mean, we're all excited to see, of course, Fernando Mendoza. How many more yards will Ashton Genty be able to run this year with a decent offensive line? I'm the most excited about Brock Bowers because what did Clint Kubiak call him? A football machine from heaven or something?
Football robot, yeah.
Yeah. Football robot from heaven. Like, that tells me that Coach, he's all ball, as we've sat there and talked with him and interacted with him several times. For him to, like, burst out with something like that, oh, he's excited. Like, mind you, Clint Kubiak said this very monotone. But he was extremely excited, and I am too, because we've seen what he was able to do in Seattle with those type of offensive players. To be that excited about a player, I think there's going to be a lot of schemes surrounding Brock Bowers, which as they should, because to your point, do they need a wide receiver one? I think at this point, no, because you do have someone like Brock Bowers. You do have someone like Ashton Genty as well who can catch the ball and kind of divert. And then you have Jalen Naylor as well and Trey Tucker, who knows what he's going to be able to do. And we're all still hoping on Jack Besh. So I think that with Brock Bowers, he could really, really explode to superstardom this year because he'll have someone who wants to design and create motion for him specifically. And I know that's exciting. That has to be exciting for Brock Bowers. So I'm actually very excited to see what they do with him because there's 1,000 million things that they could do.
Yeah, no, there really is. And the 1-2 punch between Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty and, Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, whoever's playing the quarterback position could really be a special one in this Clint Kubiak-led offense. Well, Brandy, fantastic stuff. I know you're all over town covering everything. What's next? What you got coming up next that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, I will be back at Summer League tonight. I'm actually very excited about this matchup. It's at 5. The Grizzlies are going to take on the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls.
Yep.
And, I mean, everybody's really excited to see Cameron Boozer. He's been outstanding so far in the way that we've seen him. And then, of course, Ivan Lopez, who is also on the Grizzlies, who is the first Mexican gosh, how do I say this properly? Come on, Brandy. As a Mexican, get it together. He's our first ever Mexican-born NBA draftee taken in the first round. And I'm excited to see how many Mexican fans are going to be out there. So if you see me walking around, hit me up because I know there's going to be our people show out for other people. I am one of those people going out for him. But also, I mean, on the Bulls side, Caleb Wilson, who's the 4th overall pick, only 19. I'm excited to see how he kind of shakes out in his NBA Summer League debut because the crowd is huge. So it kind of gets a taste of what a lot of these players will experience once they, start playing in the regular season when they do that.
Well, we'll have to hit you up. I'll be floating around that concourse a little bit later on this afternoon, this evening. So I'll have to hit you up and see where you're at. And we'll catch up and see how your people are doing out there, out there on the court. Thanks so much as always. Great stuff. We'll see you a little bit later.
All right. Thanks, Q.
All right, thank you. Brandy Flores right there, Las Vegas Sports Network on Twitter at _Brandy Flores, and she is the reason why we've got the RaiderNation Radio 920 YouTube page on and popping, and a lot of the good stuff that we've been putting out on social media. She's been spearheading all that, and we definitely appreciate her. And, man, all over town, right? Summer League, Aces, Conor McGregor, back to Summer League. Like, yeah, hey, just go here, there, at the other place, on Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas. So we definitely appreciate her efforts and what she does on the daily for us here on the Las Vegas Sports Network. We'll be deep diving into some of the World Cup action coming up at the top of the hour, to see where the betting lines are when it comes to that. Brandy mentioned the McGregor-Holloway fight, and Holloway minus 225 is the favorite right there. And McGregor, man, I'm really, and we talked about this the other day, Ari, I'm really interested in seeing what we're actually going to see from him. It's literally been 5 years. And the last few times that we watched McGregor in action, we all got hyped up, we all got fired up, and then we didn't see what we wanted to see, right? It wasn't. And so I just want to, is it going to be the entertainer or is it going to be the entertaining fighter? You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. Because I want to see him win. I want to see him win, but I also want to see him entertain because he's hilarious when he's out there talking trash. And I guess, he's a guy that'll captivate your attention and everything. But at some point, you also have to go out there and win, or else you kind of know what you're setting yourself up for. You just know it's going to be, all right, well, it's one of those. He's going to go out there
for entertainment purposes only.
Exactly, for entertainment purposes only. So we'll talk about betting lines. We'll do that as we kick off hour number 2 of the show, or hour number 3 of the show. Man, Ari, I'm trying to steal an extra hour here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Yeah, exactly. We got our guy, Bet with Boomer, Nick Bogdanovich. He'll join us, and he'll talk all things betting lines. We'll do that as we kick off hour number 3 here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
They motion everyone to the left, one-on-one for Bowers. Here comes the blitz. Gino sees it, lobs it towards the end zone. Bowers shoved to the ground. Made the catch. Oh, my God. Bowers made the grab on his backside. One of the toughest catches you'll ever see. Brock Bowers on the turf, caught it with his one hand, and he smothered it into his chest. Wow. That is Brockton's prime, and that is a Raiders touchdown.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
He had 7 of those last year. Even though he only played 12 games, he had 7 touchdowns. Have to feel like Clint Kubiak, this new offensive attack for the Silver and Black, is going to get Brock Bowers involved early. They're going to get him involved often in this 2026 season. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We're kicking off hour number 3 of the show. He's been spending a lot of time of the show talking about Brock Bowers from multiple different angles, but it all got kicked off by the way that he came in number 1. He was ranked number 1 for the second year in a row on Jeremy Fowler's top 10 ranking of tight ends, according to executive scouts and coaches. And again, that's a nice tip of the cap to Brock, especially since he only played in 12 games. So they're all expecting, and we're all expecting him to have a big-time season. Kind of want to get your thoughts on what type of season do you expect? Do you think that Brock Bowers can be that guy as the number 1 target, as that alpha, where they don't need a number 1 wide receiver, as many outlets have said? They got to have this guy. They got to have that guy. They need to go out and make a move. And as Cynthia Frelund joined the show in the second hour, she said, well, that number 1 guy don't just grow on trees. You can't go get that guy at this stage of the game, which honestly is something we've been talking about for a while, right? I mean, even going back to the draft process, it's like, well, you got to go get this wide receiver. Remember how much conversation back and forth we had about what are you going to do in round number 2? Are you going to go get that number 1 wide receiver? They have dudes. It's just not that guy that you identify and look at and say, oh, yeah, he's your number 1 guy, to the point where people were calling and saying, oh, A.J. Brown, go make a move for him. Go draft. Go sign Stephon Diggs. Go make a move for Brandon Ayuk. Go make a move for this, that guy, and the other, right? Just insert whatever name you want to that was out there at one stage of the game and available. To me, it never felt like that they were going to be in a sense of, or have a sense of urgency to go do that. And the reason is because there's a lot of guys in that room that could play a really valuable role, especially around alpha that is. You know, that you have in Brock Bowers. Knowing what he was able to do his rookie year and knowing that he was compromised last year, you get him back fully healthy, how special can he be? So we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200 what your thoughts are on Brock Bowers as that number 1 target, and can he take that place of that number 1, say, wide receiver that folks expect that the Raiders need to have. Again, 702-365-9200. We're expecting to hear from Nick Bogdanovich, Bet with Boomer. He's supposed to join us and talk all things World Cup, talk all things Max Holloway and Conor McGregor, UFC 329 that's going on Saturday. Just kind of give you the betting line. So if you want to go ahead and, you know, do a little something, put a little money down, you know, like Ari ever dibbles and dabbles every once in a while, maybe you can get yourself a little something. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Trying to help you out for the weekend, Ari. That's all. We're trying to hook you up.
Oh, it's a little early, but I'm just going to get some knowledge right now,
yeah.
You know, ahead of the season.
Well, that's what we do. We put a little bit of knowledge in your ear hole on Friday, and then you can make a decision on what you're going to do over the course of the weekend. I'm really interested to get his thoughts on the World Cup, as it's, you know, starting to really narrow down now at this stage of the game. And you know, everything that I've been hearing, I've been learning soccer for dummies, right? I'll be the first one to tell you I'm not some soccer aficionado. I'm never ever going to try to act like I am, but I have been enjoying what I've been seeing. I know that Norway's in action coming up tomorrow, and I've been having fun doing the old you know, banging the drum, doom doom row. Bro, every opportunity I get, I've been banging that drum. So they know how to get me, right? Just give me a gimmick. give me a gimmick. Give me something to have fun with, and I'm in. Right, man, I'm telling you. So the World Cup has been fun. I know a lot of people believe that France is the country that's going to get it done. Some are talking Argentina. I know Argentina's been playing with their food a lot, looking like they're going to lose, and then all of a sudden they find a way to win. So would love to get Nick's thoughts on all that. And as soon as he joins us, as soon as he hits us up, he's supposed to be calling us. So we'll wait patiently for him. But in the meantime, in between time, we do want to hear from you talking all things Brock Bowers or whatever's on your mind at 702-365-9200. And if you're just now tuning in and wondering what I'm talking about when it comes to Jeremy Fowler and his, his top 10 tight end rankings, he's been putting out a series of these. Monday, we talked running backs, and Ashton Genty didn't make the top 10. He did get a vote or a couple votes, but we all knew based off the season that he had his rookie year, he wasn't going to make the top 10. But between Genty and Bowers and Clint Kubiak, I really think that those two dudes have such a good opportunity to find themselves at the top of a lot of different offensive statistics this year. We all know the big elephant in the room is always going to be the offensive line. As long as that can come together, then they'll have an opportunity to go out there and actually execute this offense. But, man, knowing what kind of scheme you've seen from Clint Kubiak and knowing what you've seen from some of the quarterbacks that he's worked with, whether that's Derek Carr, whether that's Kirk Cousins, whether that's Sam Darnold, right? I mean, he's been able to get a lot out of these guys and be very productive, and you have to feel pretty good about the opportunity that they're going to have with the silver and black, and I really do believe that Brock is going to be in for a big-time season. On this piece from Jeremy Fowler, one of the coaches said, as far as route running, separation, zone instincts, yards after catchability combination, he's better than the field in those areas. That was an NFL coordinator. A down year won't change that. Also, one sign of Bauer's greatness, opponents sometimes put their best cornerback on him, as Denver did with Pat Surtain II last season. And you know that you're a bad, bad dude, right, when you're a tight end and the top corner for the opposing team is on you. And we all remember that. We all remember that when the Raiders were driving against Denver. And it looked like the Raiders were going to go and score a touchdown. Who was that who threw that interception? Was that Minshew who threw that interception, just kind of threw the ball up there lazy, and Pat Surtain took it 100 yards? And then the game was out of control. That was when Antonio Pierce was the head coach. Remember, it was like the Raiders were winning that game. They looked like they were going to go up, I think, 17-0? They had an opportunity to go up 17-0, and all of a sudden that pick six just made it all bad.
Everything you just said is accurate, yes.
I felt like I could see it in my head happen. And that was the beginning of the end of that game. That was the beginning of the end of that season. If you go and look, what game was that? What game was that? Was that week 3, week 4? What week was that?
October 6th, 2024. It didn't specify.
Okay, so
I'm
that's
thinking
October 6th. So it's maybe week 6.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Something like that. Either way, they went on a hell of a losing streak after that. Like, that season got away from them quick, fast, in a hurry after that game. And that it felt like that play right there was the beginning of the end for the Raiders, and it was just one of those trying to force feed it to him. But that's how good he is that he's got your number one corner against him. He's got that much attention that they say, okay, this is our guy that we normally take out that number one wide receiver. All right, we're going to put him on this dude because that's how stinking good he is. He makes the matchup with linebackers, he makes that a struggle, right, because he's so fast. And then, with some cornerbacks, he's so physical. But when you have a guy like Pat Surtain, obviously that's a different animal. So we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. All things Brock Bowers. What are your thoughts as he got the number one spot when it came to Jeremy Fowler and his top 10 tight end list? But we've been talking a lot about World Cup. We've been talking about Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, what they're going to do this weekend on Saturday at T-Mobile Arena, and want to take a look at the betting lines to do that. And so to help us do that, help us break it down, make us a little bit smarter, maybe help you make a little bit of money, we bring in our guy, Nick Bogdanovich, Bet with Boomer. And, Nick, thanks so much for your time. Definitely appreciate you. And I guess I'll start with the World Cup. We'll get to Conor McGregor in a minute, but I'll get to the World Cup. It's getting down to, the semifinals right now. Where's the money leaning? Is it all France, or is there some money going to some other countries at this stage of the game?
To win it all, Spain and France will be really good for the house. All the money to win it all was
Mexico and USA, to be honest with you. The teams left. Argentina's got some money, so there's some exposure with Argentina. And actually Switzerland as well. There was some money along, like at 150 to 1 on Switzerland. So, but I couldn't be. The World Cup's been great. It's been everyone's into it. The bettors, even if you don't have a bet, you're watching it. It's on our continent. It's on our time zone. So yeah, the handle's been really good, and I got to say the bettors have held their own.
It sounds like it. It really does. And I know USA lost on Monday to Belgium, and it was disappointing the way that they lost. But to me, Nick, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it was fun to see them go on that ride, and it really got a lot of people excited about the game of soccer.
Yeah, no question about it. Hey, listen, I would say they had a good tournament. Yes, the ending was bad. The goaltender making that faux pas to put them down 3-1. I still think they could have competed when it was only 2-1, but we'll never know what happened. But yeah, no, I think they can draw some positive on it. I think they're closing the gap, and I was impressed with them. I'm no soccer expert, but my eyes I don't think lied.
No, I'm right there with you. I keep telling everyone I'm soccer for dummies, and I'm no soccer expert either. But from what I saw, it was pretty entertaining. And I know that, you were talking about money on Argentina. I always get concerned with them from the way that they've been playing in the last few matches, just like they hang around, they're down, and then they're like, okay, now we'll turn it on. How dangerous is that when you're trying to bet on that country?
Well, in soccer, good luck getting a goal. I don't know how they ever score. So, yeah, the total is like against Switzerland is 2 over 50 or 2.5 under 40. So, if you give up one fluke goal, there's no guarantee you'll ever score. They were really, really lucky against Egypt, beyond lucky. And I know they're the defending champs and they got messy, but they're going to have to play a little better, I think, going forward, because if they don't, they're going to get knocked out.
Coming up tomorrow, Norway versus England. I've been riding with Team Norway just because I like banging the drum, and I'm kind of a gimmick-type guy. And England, big-time favorites, minus 110 on this one. Could be, a little bit different at different outlets. But how are you seeing this one play out, Norway versus England?
Yeah, and I can't wait to watch this one. I think Norway has captured the hearts of everyone watching it. This Holland kid is, this is a country that's been horrible in soccer forever, and all of a sudden this one kid pops up, and now they're competing on the largest stage. England is like $1.10 favorite in the three-way line. Total's like 2.5 over 40. I expect goals in this game. I think England's got plenty of strikers, and I think Harry Kane will score, and I do think Holland will score. So I think the total's short at like 2.5 over 40, but I can't wait to watch this game. This one goes at 2 o'clock tomorrow. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I will be rooting for Norway. Them and Switzerland are the two long shots left in the tournament, so I'd like to see one of those two advance.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that is riding with Norway, because they are fun, right? They've captured, like you said, the hearts of everyone, and Holland, man, he is fantastic. He's a lot of fun to watch. Again, Nick Bogdanovich is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920 Unnecessary Roughness. What about the fight tomorrow? UFC 329. I know Conor McGregor is a big-time underdog. Holloway minus 225. McGregor hasn't fought in 5 years. Nick, do you have any idea what we're going to see tomorrow night?
Absolutely none. But you know what? It's funny. I would have expected more noise, more people talking about it, more betting. It's sort of flying under the radar. I'm hoping tomorrow, the day of, that we start getting some action. At Boomers, we got Max Holloway minus 230 and McGregor plus 195. I'd assume that every $20 and $30 ticket, every small ticket would be on Conor McGregor, because the public has always been in love with him, always backed him at the betting window. It's tough to take off 5 years and have weight fluctuate and party as much as he did and come back and be super sharp. But I guess if anyone can do it, it would be Conor McGregor.
How badly does he need to win, just so we don't all of a sudden start watching just to entertain, or actually we start seeing a fighter that is entertaining, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if he has to win, but I think he has to look competent. If he goes out there and gets smoked and blown up, I think he'll be yesterday's news. But if he goes in and it's a hell of a fight and he loses it, I think he'll still have some traction and some shelf life.
Nick, next week, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, Home Run Derby. It's funny. I used to love the Home Run Derby back in the day. Now you're not seeing the big names. It feels like at least this year the biggest stars aren't really competing in it. Is there money rolling in on the Home Run Derby? How's everything tracking with that right now?
You know what? The day of, we'll get some bets on the Home Run Derby just because it's the only game in town that day and it's on TV. But you know, like you said, it would be a different story if maybe an Ohtani was in there, but he's going to be out with a knee injury, and you know that home run contest takes their toll on the guys. So many swings in such a short amount of time. You know, you're risking a core injury, or it's more difficult than you think. But yeah, it doesn't really matter who's in it because the day of, it's really the only game in town on that Monday, and there'll be some betting on it.
Is there any way to I don't know, we'll say change the format, but you're right. I mean, all those swings, it's taxing on these players. And, you know, with the speed that they were having, I know they've changed that up a little bit. But is there any way to slow this down where it doesn't affect these players as much and could possibly injure them?
I think there's got to be fewer swings for sure. I mean, it's a marathon. I mean, they're huffing and puffing, and like I said, listen, we've seen more than one guy come out of there with a strain something and missing some games, so that's not good. And you want your stars to want to do it, and I think with the format, I think some of them are scared off, and rightfully so. So hopefully they can revamp it and make it a little more interesting because it is fun to watch the guys hit the long ones. Yeah, no, it really is. I always enjoy it. Like I said, it's something that I've always grown up watching, and it's just changed format so many times. And if you have a team that's playing really well, you got a player that's playing really well, you don't want him in that competition because you don't want him, like you said, to get a strain or coming out of that thing a little bit banged up. Well, Nick, fantastic stuff. Anything that we should be on the lookout? Any match, any game coming up that we should really have our eyeballs on that you're focusing on? You know what? I got to tell you, I hate to go back to a World Cup, and it's all World Cup right now, but that semifinal between France and Spain is going to be out of this world. France is a small favorite. It's next Tuesday. And one other one, Sunday, don't sleep on Wimbledon. That final between Zinner and Zverev is going to be great. Zinner's like a $4 favorite, but I think Zverev's really live. He won the last major. He's in great form, so I think Sunday morning, if you want some early morning action, keep an eye on that Wimbledon men's final.
Let's go back to the World Cup real quick. I did have a question about the Golden Boot. I know Messi's in the running, Mbappe's in the running, Haaland's in the running. Is there anybody I should be paying attention to that I could possibly win some money on when it comes to winning the Golden Boot?
You know what? Harry Kane, I think, still got life, and he's a longer shot. And England's a pretty good size favorite to get by Norway. Say he gets a goal or two there, and then they got the better draw. They get Switzerland or Argentina. So England could end up in the final and playing 3 more games. So if you want to take a flyer, don't sleep on Harry Kane.
There you go. We're trying to help out Ari here. Ari's trying to work his magic for the weekend. So, Nick, we definitely needed your help getting him where he needs to be. Thanks so much for your time. We'll definitely check you out. Bet with Boomer. We definitely appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good stuff as always. Nick Bogdanovich here. Bet with Boomer. Bet with Boomer Sports. Does a fantastic job. And, that's it's funny, Ari. It wasn't too long ago that we were over there at Silver Sevens when they were opening things up for for the Boomer Sportsbook. Remember remember I was the guy who put in the inaugural, the celebratory, I guess. Instead of throwing out the first pitch, I made the first bet.
Ceremonial. There you go.
Ceremonial. That's the word. I thought I was cooking with grease too. I thought I had an opportunity to win that one.
I was going to ask. I hadn't heard much about it, so
because I lost.
That makes sense.
Nobody talks about losing.
Vegas wasn't built on winners. Yeah, but that's good. That's good for them.
Man, look,
that's a good look for
I had the Golden Knights, man. I had the Golden Knights.
Yeah,
right?
me too.
And they were okay until they weren't.
Nope. Yeah, that's a tough one.
So there's that. But many thanks to Nick. We do appreciate his time this afternoon. You got some winning on the way, don't you?
I do. I have my.
You going to give it out now, or you want to wait for a few minutes?
I will. You know what? Let's go. Give me a call right now, 702-365-9200. Now I'm going to tell you what it is that you'll actually win, and that is the last pair of Martin tickets to see Martin Lawrence at the Resorts World Theater,
tomorrow.
I should say. Tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, 7-11, like we said. Tickets are available at AXS. .com. But right now, give me a call. Like I said, 702-365-9200. Caller 9 must be a Nevada resident.
Well, tell them not only are they going to be calling number 9, but they got to give you their favorite Martin character.
I like that, actually. Yeah. No, really.
How about
that? Do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Give them. Matter of fact, no, I'm not going to make him go through the whole character. It's so funny.
It's a good question. Now I'm thinking about it.
It is, because he plays so many roles. Between him and there's some comedians that were so good at playing multiple roles. Obviously, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, they played many roles, but Jamie Foxx played so many different roles. He was able to, but Martin used to crack me up, and he still does, right? And like I said, just saw his show not too long ago when he was here in Las Vegas, and it was fantastic. It was definitely worth the price of admission. So whoever gets this last pair of tickets, the last pair of tickets that my man Ari has, is going to get blessed. So 702-365-9200, caller number 9, and give Ari your favorite Martin character, and he'll get you hooked up. We have been talking about Brock Bowers and what he could bring to the table as far as that alpha when it comes to the Raiders offense under Clint Kubiak. My guy John Train in the ATL, he goes back to that Minshew interception. He said, I remember that Minshew pass like it was yesterday. That pass was so high he wouldn't have hit Brock Bowers if he was standing on top of another Brock Bowers. LOL, season ended on that play. Aiden O'Connell should have been the starter that year. Yeah, that was one of those that even at the end of the year, you're right about that. It's always great to hear from you, John Train. Thanks so much for the text. Man, even at the end of the year, before Antonio Pierce got let go, he had mentioned, if he could have done something different, it would have been starting Aiden O'Connell. I remember that whole lead up to that decision to start Minshew, and nobody knew who was going to be the guy. And even being at training camp, no one ever separated themselves. And so I remember after that final preseason game, I want to say, I guess it was the 49ers at Allegiant Stadium. I was doing the pregame and the postgame show, and I remember leaving the postgame show, and Lincoln Kennedy was walking out of the booth, and I said, well, I guess Aiden O'Connell's got the job, and Lincoln was like, yeah, that's my best guess as well. And then the next day, we had a press conference. We had a Zoom with Antonio Pierce, and he said, Gardner Minshew's the starting quarterback, and we all kind of, all right, well, okay. And again, it was really nobody ever really separated themselves in training camp or in the preseason. There was a couple glimpses here and there of Aiden O'Connell looking okay, but you could tell that the decision was one of those that just, I don't know, pick one of the dudes. And, ultimately I think they picked Minshew because of the money. He was a free agent. He came in and he was the guy that got paid. It wasn't a ton of money, but he was the guy that got paid. So I guess if like they say in baseball, tie goes to the runner. In this case, tie goes to the guy that has the bigger contract. And so it was Gardner Minshew. But you're right, John Train. That was the beginning of the end with Minshew, and it was definitely the beginning of the end with that pick six. Pat Surtain taking it to the house. Not only did Denver go and win that game, but the Raiders season felt like it went right down the drain after that happened. Again, continue to give us that feedback, 702-365-9200. Speaking of going right down the drain, we're going to get our flush on. We've got a couple different options of what we'll do, but we'll do it next here on are you ready, Ari? I see Ari working the phones right now. Okay, we'll do it next. I didn't know if you were ready or not. It's
I got you.
Radio. Okay, good deal. RaiderNation Radio 920.
I mean, I got off to a tough start, and then, back nine, it just felt like I wasn't hitting it close enough to give myself, enough opportunities. I mean, I think that's really kind of what it comes down to. Just got off to a poor start, and then after that, I just didn't really hit it close enough to give myself a bunch of looks, and that's how you shoot over pond.
It's time to flush it. Brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing.
Yeah, man. It is time to flush it. That's exactly what Scotty Scheffler, who you just heard on the way in, that's exactly what he wants to do. We got a shout out to Moonlight Plumbing. You can always hit them up, moonlightplumbing.vegas. No problem is too big or too small for Moonlight. Their services range from residential leaky faucet repair, water heater replacement, commercial plumbing system installs, full remodels. You can give them a call if you need, 702-355-3938. Probably just go ahead and put them in your contacts. At some point, you might not need it right now, but at some point, you're going to have to get something taken care of, right? So Moonlight will do it for you, moonlightplumbing.vegas. Always tell you to go ahead and hit them up on the website and check them out for more information and even to book an appointment if you so need so. But, yeah, Scotty Scheffler, he might need to hit up Moonlight Plumbing because, man, oh, man, he needs to get a royal flush. How about this? Scotty Scheffler headed for the first missed cut in nearly 4 years. So if you're not a big golfer and big golf fan, and I'm not either, I'll be the first to tell you that. I dibble and dabble by paying attention to what's going on with golf. Tiger was out there doing his thing every Sunday, had the red polo. I was fired up. But, there's certain guys that will capture your attention. There's other guys that you kind of watch just loosely. Well, that's where I am with golf right now. But I absolutely know Scotty Scheffler is that guy. Matter of fact, he's so much that guy, he's the world #1 golfer, right? He'll get an extra early start in his preparation for his defense of the Open Championship. He's expected to miss the cut in the Genesis Scottish Open. Friday, he ended his nearly 4-year streak of consecutive events in which he played on the weekend at 78. After carding a 268 at the Renaissance Club in the opening round, Scheffler posted a 72 on Friday for a 36-hole total of even par. The projected cut is 2 under. And this is the first time that he misses the cut in 78 events. That's exactly 1,428 days ago. And I mentioned Tiger. Tiger was my guy. There's certain records out there that just won't be broken. You can go through all sports and say, oh, this record's not going to get touched. This record's not going to get touched. Well, Tiger has a few of those, including consecutive cut streak. 142. That's 1998 to 2005. And I'm talking about Scheffler, who had 78 events in a row. Tiger went $142, right? That's just how stinking good he and so stinking dominant he was when he was at the top of his game. But Scheffler, a 20-time winner on the PGA Tour, has last missed the cut in the FedEx St. Jude Championship. That was back in 2022 August. Streak of consecutive cuts was 51 starts longer than the next closest golfer, Matt Fitzpatrick. So not only is he going to miss the cut, it's also the first time that he'll finish outside the top 25 in a PGA Tour event since tying for 33rd in the 2024 BMW Championships. 30 years old, he only hit 11 of 26 fairways and 23 of 36 greens in 2 rounds in the Scottish Open, losing nearly 2 strokes on the approach. And then this is the fun part. This is the fun part as we'll go into our final flush. Just to put this in perspective, and Ari, I'm sure you can appreciate when people always say, well, the last time this happened, this was going on. The last time this happened, this was going on, right? And sometimes we hear some things that go way, way back. Well, this isn't quite that, but it's still kind of fun. The last time Scotty missed a cut, Taylor Swift was dating Joe Allen, right? And she just got married to Travis Kelce. Tom Brady was still on the Bucs, right? He wasn't in the Fox booth. He wasn't a minority owner of the Raiders. He was still on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The World Cup hadn't started. Not this one, the Qatar one. That one hadn't started. And Elon, he did not own Twitter. The last time Scotty Scheffler missed a cut, talking about Wimbledon, we just did that with Nick Bogdanovich. Sinner and Alcaraz, they had a combined 0 Grand Slam championships. How many do they have now? 11. So there you go. Little flushing of the situation that was Scotty Scheffler. But look, still the #1 golfer in the world. He's going to get prepared to, defend his Open Championship. But as you heard the way coming in, just got away from him. That's how that game goes. I'll tell you what, I don't know how many of you actually attempt to play golf. There was one point in my life, I think I was working at the radio station in Monterey, where I thought I was going to try to get my Tiger Woods on. I had an event where I had to go out there, and they were going to give us some free golf lessons. It was a fun little event, and so I went out there, and I hit a couple, and it looked decent. And you know how it goes when the instructor says, oh, man, you might be a natural. So in my head, I was like, oh, he said I might be a natural. I ought to take up golfing. I remember my mom was like, oh, well, I actually have some extra golf clubs here in my garage. Maybe I can send them to you. And I realized really quickly that, yeah, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. I got on a couple more courses, went out there just for S's and giggles with some friends. You know, I'm really good at being the guy that rides around the cart, provides the music, provides the laughs, goes and makes a run to the cooler to get some beverages, right? That's really what my job is. Because when it comes to actually being a good participant, not so much. But that game is so damn frustrating. That's why I'm glad I don't take it seriously, right? Like we see LeBron, and we're all waiting for LeBron to make the next decision. We see him, he's out there, and that's one of the things he said is a requirement for the next team that he plays. He wants to be happy. And so Rich Paul was asked at Summer League, as a matter of fact, today, you know, what's something that makes him happy? Golf. So now he's taking up golf. He really wants to be heavily involved. And I don't know what it is when people decide that that's going to be the sport that they take up. But I'll tell you what, I decided I was going to take that sport up, and I was going to get rid of it just as fast as I took it up. That is not for me. Ari, I look like when I was hitting the golf ball, it looked like I was trying to pull the ball to left field. I looked like I was trying to hit a home run to left field. Everything that I did, that ball would leave the tee, and if you were in left field, you better watch out. I literally hit one. Four wouldn't do nothing for me. I hit that thing, and it bounced right off a tree that was right next to us. Like, I always wonder. I mean, this is how bad I am. But I always wonder, like, how are these guys, how do they have such ball control? You know what I mean? Like, if you actually watch, if you pay attention to what they're doing on the green, they've got fans on top of fans just lined up. And I always wonder, like, how does that guy not get hit? How does that guy know that dude's not going to hit him? And I know they're pros, and so they're not supposed to do that. But it's so frustrating. That's why I'm so glad that I never took it seriously, because I could see getting so mad. And there's there's the tournament going on in Reno right now. Steph Curry's out there playing. Derek Carr's out there playing. There's so many celebrities that are out there playing. That happens every year. Around this time. And I know so many athletes that take up that sport and love every minute of it. But dude, I am not that guy. I'm also not an athlete, but it's just. I'm not that guy. I don't know how much you've picked up a golf club, but this guy, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you on the same. I'm also. I mean, it feels more like an activity than a sport. I absolutely respect I understand that it is a sport, and everything you just said is a big deal. You got to be very calculated.
It's incredible. If you're good at it, it's incredible.
Yeah, and it takes a large skill that I don't have or that you don't have. So and a lot of patience, I'm sure. But it just feels so boring, like, to me, all around. And as far as doing it,
the thing about it is, though, it's actually fun. You know, if you go out there, and again, I enjoy it more watching and observing people. You know, but being out there with them, like I don't ever have to hit. Like, I'll go out there once in a while just to do it, just to say I did. But honestly, I don't have to. I just rather ride around with you in the cart, talk a little trash, and have a good time. But that's it. It is fun to that extent.
That's how it was sold to me. Like, I mean, this is, I don't know, when I was a teenager or maybe a young adult, and it was just, come on. And I'm like, I have no desire to do this. I don't want to. And as Q knows, I'm not an athlete anyway, right? So what am I doing? Right. And they were like, nah, man, we aren't either. We suck. Like, we suck at golf. We just roll around, drink some beers, talk, like you said. So, I mean, from that, it's also the sun beaming on you. You know, I'm a very difficult person with that stuff. But yeah, I would say more of a mini golf guy. I'll get down on some mini golf. Yes.
Oh yeah, miniature golf is a different bag. Now that's now we're talking.
No pressure there.
No pressure at all. I'm also not trying to drive the ball however far and try to I'm not trying to do any of that. Fun fact. And next time you talk to him, you have to ask him about this. Lincoln Kennedy, he likes to play some golf. He's played in multiple tournaments. I don't remember who hosted the tournament. I want to say it was Icky Woods, because he does a charity golf tournament every year to raise awareness for his son that had passed away. I forget exactly what the details are behind it, but we've had multiple people on the show talking about Icky Woods and his charity. So I want to say that it was that tournament that Lincoln played in. You got it?
I was going to say, well, it was created for his late son to fund asthma research. Just
there you go.
And youth sports and raise community awareness. I am looking.
Yeah, we had Solomon Wilcox on the show.
That's right.
Remember, he right before because he was playing in that tournament as well. So I didn't know this, but there's so many different celebrities that played in that one. Lincoln was one of them, and I remember talking to him about it afterwards. And this is going to be a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
Miss Parker played in that one too. Miss Parker from Friday? Miss Parker?
Let me.
No, seriously.
No, I know. I'm going to get the name. I don't know. That's all we know her as, right?
When Lincoln told me that, because he came to the house.
Kathleen Bradley.
we did a Raider squad show from the house here in Studio Q. And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, I was playing with all these different celebrities. He's like, you know who pulled up on us? I was like, who? He's like, Miss Parker. I was like, Miss Parker, Miss Parker? He said, Miss Parker, Miss Parker. That's hilarious.
That is
just shows you, I mean, people love the game of golf, whether you're really good at it, whether you're not really good at it, just going out and hanging out. You just never know. I saw at that tournament I was talking about in Reno, I saw, Marcus Allen was part of it, Tim Brown, Freddie Bolitnikoff always put together. He always has a golf tournament that JT hosts. So, I mean, there's so many people that are really into it. I just stink at it, man. I just cannot get into it. I just can't.
No, you're right though. There's the Shrine. There's other charity Shriners Club. There's a lot of so that's always a good thing. Yeah, I mean, hey, to each their own. But I'm right there with you.
How funny is that?
I can't think of a sport that I'd probably be less interested other than swimming.
Well, yeah, that too.
I'll take some golf over swimming.
Think about that. Like it's Friday. It's Aloha Friday. We're thinking about the movie Friday, and all of a sudden, Miss Parker out there she out there watering the damn grass that they ain't got no grass out there, and then all of a sudden she out there on the tee, and she out there trying to slap that ball all over the golf course. I think that is hilarious. Mailman Raider hit us up on the text line talking about golf. He said, "Q, I golf because I can't hit a ball and I get drunk. I'm not good.
Boom.
Probably got to do with the drinks, but it's fun. LOL." Yeah, I think that's as long as you understand where you are. Because I've seen some people that get so mad at it. I was like, you're just not good. It's okay, right? I mean, it's fine. You're just not good at golf, and it's one of those that it's not for everybody. But, man, when you are good and you can control that damn ball and not drive it into the crowd or into the, people that are golfing next to you or whatever, like that is such a fine art that I do not have. Matter of fact, I know we had a tournament that our radio station was a part of. And our sales guy, Patty, he asked, he was like, "Hey, man, you golf?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean by how define golf?" I said, "No, if you're trying to win,
no.
I am not your guy." Yeah, you.
That's a no. The Hackensack, I think, right?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Matter of fact,
Great
Brandy
event.
went out there to it.
Yeah.
She was out there and yeah,
doing
of course
those
we
for
had
a long time here.
Yeah. We sponsored that as well.
I stay away from that.
All right, you stay away from everything.
Fair, but again, it's golf, so that's my point here. Is I let the people that know what they're doing work that out. So shout out to Patty.
Hey, look, I'm right there with you because I don't know what I'm doing either. Real quick for Diego, then we'll take a break. Hey, Q, it's Diego from Arizona. I want to ask if it's better to give Bowers a new contract or give him his fifth-year option. It's been a while since the Raiders had a rookie with the fifth option that they wanted to keep. Thanks. What does it say? I don't know. I don't know what the last line said. Something happened with the text line. But yeah, look, the Raiders will have to make a decision on a Brock Bowers contract sooner rather than later. I'm sure that next year they'll start to work on a contract extension. They've got the fifth-year option. You still have that. Even if you extend him, you still have it. He'll be under control for however many years you extend him. If you extend him for 3 years and you're in his fourth year, then boom, there you go. You'll exercise the fifth-year option, and he'll be under team control for 4 years. If you extend him for 4 years and you do that, and he has a fifth-year option, he'll be under team control for 5 years. So either way, 6 one way, half a dozen the other. But it's good to see a first-round pick that the Raiders are going to want to extend, and clearly they're going to want to extend Brock Bowers sooner rather than later, especially if he has the kind of year that I think that he's going to have. Thanks for the text. Definitely appreciate you. Real quick, we'll hustle up and go out to the phone lines on this Aloha Friday with the guy who started us off on the text line, our guy Just Win Will. Welcome to the show, my man. What's on your mind?
Aloha, you. Yeah,
Aloha, brother.
This feels great. That feels so good every time you say it.
Yes, sir.
Q, I'll be quick. I got a question. I want you, if you could, ask Clint Kubiak for me and for the nation, and it ties into what your question is today. So we all remember when Kubiak was in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
And what is it? Those first 2 weeks, they scored 90-something points or something like that, right? And
yep.
In the first 2 weeks, and kind of caught the league by storm. And this lady's about to get. Oh man. Sorry, I'm driving and seeing a pedestrian almost.
Careful now. Careful now.
Okay. I don't know. I'm good. They were okay. But so he was there in New Orleans and he had that success, and then kind of the league caught up to him. I want to know because a lot of for us is new, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a feeling that with the offense, the players, we have a chance to maybe we rip off. Let's just, for argument's sake, we rip off 4 wins right away, right? Where just the offense is clicking, they can figure it out, right? But then what happens when, like, if Game 5 we lose, then maybe Game 6 we lose, and then the players that were there last year are kind of like, uh-oh, here we go again, you know? Mm-hmm. What is Kubiak going to do to then be able to, like, I don't know, like, lift their spirits, re-energize, refocus? Kind of in that regard, from having success or kind of instant or microwave success, and then maybe some failures to then go back to success. Because obviously our goal is to have sustained success. Ooh, that's tough to say. Sustained success, but we have to take steps to go there. So is there a way that you can kind of frame that to ask Kubiak if there's something he has in plan or something he uses? Like, what did he do in those moments? Because obviously, you know, when he was still there in New Orleans, and I know he was a OC, and it's a different capacity now, but, you know, what did he do to, you know, recenter himself after that success and then kind of almost a little bit of a lull to then kind of get back? So, I don't know. I know that's a lot. You can pick out what you want and turn that into something. I know I'll get the answer that I need from you in that regard. But I just kind of want to leave you with that because I think our overall success will be tied into that. Like if we can see it, have success, and then sustain it. So sorry, I know that was a lot, kind of maybe some word salad, but
it's all good, man.
So
it's all good. That's what we do.
Always, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, my man. Just Win Will there on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies. That's a really good question, and that is something that, you know what, I'll give you a really good answer. I will definitely ask Clint Kubiak, and I'll tell you how I'll ask Clint Kubiak. We'll break that down next as we close out the show here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
Flush It is brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. Affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. We mean business.
Pretty much the first week he stepped in there, we already knew what he was about. I think we were doing like 7-on-7. Of course, we don't have the pads on, but you could just tell certain guys who stands out right away, especially with being there with the level of competition that we have and the guys that we bring in at UGA. But, man, right away I just knew, especially like not only during that 7-on-7 period, but it was, I think, around springtime as well. That's when he kind of separated himself, and I think everybody in the building knew about him, so that was that.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
Quay Walker, big-time free agent pickup for the Silver and Black. Helped change that linebacking room. Was talking about Brock Bowers. Remember, they all went to Georgia, and he's talking about when Brock Bowers got on campus and when they really knew who he was. And Brock Bowers has been the guy that we've been talking about throughout the course of the year because he did get that number 1 spot on Jeremy Fowler's top 10 ranking when it comes to tight ends. And just a lot of respect for Brock the first 2 years of the league. Obviously, year 3 coming up with head coach Clint Kubiak. It's funny hearing Quay talk about Brock Bowers, and he kind of knew who he was when they hit the field. They didn't have the pads on, but still established himself. It makes me think back to mandatory minicamp, or maybe it was OTAs, either way, but Brock Bowers made a hell of a play this past year and during OTAs. And I remember Jeremy Chin walking back to the sideline and talking to Isaiah Polamau, and he said, man, that 89 is a mother effer. Straight up. Like, just, hey, man, that dude is a problem. And that's what we are all hoping that Brock Bowers has opposing defenses saying all year long. Again, it is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. I want to close out responding to what Just Win Will had to say when he called in the last segment. And, you know, it's we talked about Clint Kubiak and all the things that he does really well, and we've talked about what his offense looked like in New Orleans while they were cooking with grease, what he was able to do with Derek Carr, what he was able to do with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, what he's done with Sam Darnold last year in Seattle on the way to winning a Super Bowl, and how everything could look good in this offense. But what's going to happen when the adversity hits? especially for a first-time head coach. And he really wanted me to ask Clint Kubiak, what the plan is when that adversity hits, and just kind of, threw a bunch of different words out there. And, how could you word it and ask the question? And it's as simple as that. Coach, as a first-time head coach, once things start to go south, because football's a game of adversity, it's going to go south. It might not go south for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 games like it did last year. It might be a 3-game losing streak. But what happens when they have that 3-game losing streak? Or what happens when they have some 3 and outs and that offense isn't cooking like we think? Or Brock Bowers doesn't have a 6, 7, 8 catch game. And Ashton Jeanty doesn't go over 100 yards. And all of a sudden, guys that have been on the roster, as Will pointed out, been on the roster and been there, done that, seen that early success, right? We can go back to as early as last year. They had that early success in week 1, right? They went on the road to New England, beat them. Max Crosby ran off the field. We back. Like, I remember that like it was yesterday. And then they weren't back for a long time after that, right? Max got one more victory the rest of the season after that. That was it, right? They beat who? Tennessee? They beat the Titans and then the final game of the year. Like, to know that they beat the Patriots, they beat the Titans, and they beat the Chiefs in Week 18, and that was the Raiders' win last year. So, it's that stretch when things aren't clicking. How do you keep the team together? And that's when the true test of your coaching ability and the strength of your coaching staff comes together. Right? I could tell you the answer. I'll definitely ask Clint Kubiak that, but I could tell you the answer. It's easy to be the coach when things are going good. It's easy to be the radio host when things are cooking and things are good. It's easy when there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about or whatever. But all of a sudden you get a little thin, you get in July, you get, not a whole lot, and it's like, what do you do, right? It tests your stones, right? And that's going to test Clint Kubiak's stones when it gets tough. And he's going to have to show how he can still be a leader of men and lead them through adversity. You'll learn more about the character when they go through the bad than you will the good. Can you go through the bad and come out on the other side? That's going to be the big question. Remember the year that the Raiders went to the Super Bowl and they had, that 4-game losing streak going on? It's like, man, who's going to stop the bleed? And then all of a sudden, boom, they did. I think Rod Woodson, I want to say he was on JT's show while I was on vacation, while I was wrapping up my vacation, and talked about, snapping that streak and what it took for them to make that run. Sometimes that's what it is, but how do you keep those guys together? That's the really good coaches, right? The ones that are able to keep the players focused and energized. Like, everyone's having fun right now because everyone is 0-0. There's a lot of positivity right now. There's a lot of praise from everyone outside the building. When adversity strikes, how do you keep those guys together? That was an excellent question from Just Win Will. That'll be a question that when they open up training camp and we get to talk to Clint Kubiak, that'll definitely be a question that we ask. Thank you for all the feedback. Have a fantastic weekend. Of course, we'll be back on Monday right here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Aloha.